Chapter 170. Bai Yin smiled bitterly and looked at Wang Kai with a complicated look. She suddenly shook her head and said apologetically, "Sister Miao Yin, I'm really sorry. I'm afraid I can't help you. Even though I'm a saint, I can't defeat a cultivator with a higher level of eternal divine flame. If you want to take the saint's essence blood, you have to do it yourself." There were 9 strange fires in the world, which were the natural nemesis of all alchemy and weapon cultivators. Ordinary fire could only be awakened by 1 in 100 people. Ethereal fire needed to be condensed by thousands of ordinary fires. Strange fire was the existence above them. Similarly, there were differences between the 9 mystical flames as well. That was why there were 9 different rankings. If the controllers met, there would be fluctuations. Naturally, the level of the strange fire they controlled would be sensed in an instant. Just like Bai Yin now, she knew that her eternal divine flame was lower than Wang Kai's strange fire. Even if her realm was much higher than Wang Kai's, because of the suppression of the strange fire, she couldn't do anything to Wang Kai. Even though Bai Yin was a saint, in front of Wang Kai, she was as weak as a baby. Miao Yin was Bai Yin's good sister, and was also a figure on the Sovereign Youth list. Naturally, she knew more than Wang Kai, and was very clear about the strange flame. Since Bai Yin wanted to retreat, it proved that Wang Kai's strange flame was definitely above hers. "Ha ha, sister, don't worry. Wang Kai is just a 9th grade quasi-emperor. Even if he has a strange fire, he's not my opponent." Miao Yin laughed tenderly. Then, she twisted her body and walked forward. She looked at Wang Kai playfully. Hearing this, Bai Yin gently shook her head and quickly and solemnly reminded, "Little sister, elder sister doesn't know what kind of mysterious flame he has, but of the 7 mysterious flames above the eternal divine flame, besides the first dustless flame, if the other 6 mysterious flames are hit, you will definitely die. Even if his cultivation is not as good as yours, you still have to be careful. Thank you for your reminder, sister. I naturally know the power of the strange fire. Just like sister, although you have the 8th eternal divine flame, you can only passively defend. If you're not strong enough, you still can't hurt the opponent." Miao Yin laughed softly. "Little girl, are you making fun of me?" Bai Yin stared at her, pretending to blame her, but the corners of her mouth were full of teasing. She naturally knew that her words were for Wang Kai to hear. In fact, this was indeed the case. After Wang Kai heard this, his brow furrowed as he gained some understanding of strange flames. It was true that the 9 great mystical fires were powerful, but it required the controller's martial arts realm to be equally powerful. Just like the inextinguishable divine flame, which was ranked 8th, it could make the controller's body immortal and indestructible. Even if the controller was only a martial master, even an Emperor Lord would not be able to harm her, let alone kill her. However, in the case of a low realm, he could only ensure his own safety. If he wanted to use the strange flame to defeat a powerful enemy whose realm was higher than the controller's, it was completely impossible. Unless the other party was careless and got hit. In the end, he could only ensure that he wouldn't die. Just like the unbreakable great emperor that was killed in the Elysium ancient city. If he didn't stand still and take the Yuan Qi bomb with Wang Kai's realm, it would be a fool's dream to hit him. However, in Wang Kai's opinion, these were reasonable. There were only 9 strange fires in the world, each with their own special abilities. Those who could possess them would naturally have extraordinary abilities. But why did Bai Yin say that the first dustless fire was unbearable? "Little fox, you said that among the 7 mystical flames above the undying divine flame, only the dustless divine flame can't be destroyed. Are you bluffing? Since you also have a strange fire, you should be able to detect the type of strange fire Ben Shao has, right? So, that's why you're deliberately mystifying things to scare this young master?" Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sneered. Whoosh! As soon as these words came out, Bai Yin and Miao Yin's faces were immediately filled with joy. The 2 sisters looked at each other, and when they looked at Wang Kai again, they had already changed into an expression of looking at an idiot. "Ha ha, Wang Kai, Wang Kai." Meowing really didn't expect that you would be so ignorant. You actually took the initiative to say that you have a strange fire. Do you want to be protective of the fair sex? If you hand over the saint's blood essence and exquisite martial skills, Meow-een can promise to take you as a servant. Meow-een laughed softly. It could be seen that she was in a good mood. Bai Yin on the side also looked happy. She nodded gently and said with a charming smile, "Little master, the dustless fire is not unbearable. It's just that this fire is the king of strange fires and only targets the owner of strange fires. This also means that the other 8 strange fires in the world, regardless of their realm, are like ants in front of you. But if the opponent is not a strange fire, then the dustless fire." Speaking of this, Bai Yin's eyes were full of playfulness, and she closed her red lips. Even if she didn't continue speaking, Wang Kai had heard it clearly. In the end, the dustless flame only had an absolute suppression of the exotic flame. If he fought with someone who didn't control the exotic flame, the key to victory or defeat still depended on the respective martial Dao realms. Haha, so what? Little White, Bin Xiao now orders you to capture Meow-een, or else, humph, puff. Wang Kai's face was full of a playful smile. He stretched out a finger and gently flicked it. A pale white flame burned and condensed on the tip of his finger. It swayed slightly, and suddenly oppressed by Yin, who was opposite him, and her pretty face turned pale. Swish! Meowing saw this, and quickly moved forward to block it. She flipped her jade hand and took out a pendant with a swastika character. She sneered and said, "Wang Kai, in front of Meow-een, your dustless fire is useless. If you want to hurt Sister Yin, you have to go through Meow-een first." Such a scene made Wang Kai despise her. He waved his hand and dissipated the dustless fire. Then, with his hands behind his back, he leisurely walked straight to Meow-een. He smiled indifferently and said, "Little girl, do you really think Bin Xiao is afraid of you?" 8 inner hidden gates. Imperial doppelganger. Cosmic form. Rumble. In an instant, black and blood-red airflow filled Wang Kai's body. 9 doppelgangers also separated from Wang Kai's body. Then, the cosmic form gathered above the heads of the 9 doppelgangers. Half-Emperor Realm. Miao Yin's beautiful eyes widened, and her pretty face suddenly changed. She screamed in disbelief. "How is this possible? Your realm should only be at the Quasi-Emperor realm. Why are you a 6th-stage Quasi-Emperor? No, your doppelganger has the power of an 8th-stage Quasi-Emperor realm. The 8 inner hidden gates increased by 1 stage to the 6th-stage Quasi-Emperor realm. His doppelganger increased again. In Wang Kai's opinion, it should only be at the 7th-stage Quasi-Emperor realm. But now it had reached the 8th stage. For a moment, Wang Kai was stunned. He didn't expect his doppelganger to be so awesome. When he was a Quasi-Emperor, his doppelganger's strength was 1 stage higher than his own. Now that he had reached the Half-Emperor realm, his doppelganger's strength had increased by another stage. It was 2 stages higher than his own body. It was really worthy of the Taijua Emperor technique. It was simply amazing. Chapter 171. Haha, with Ben Xiao's ability, anything that is impossible in this world can become possible. Don't ask why, there is only one answer. Ben Xiao is the #1 person in history. Wang Kai said proudly, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through and reaching rank 6 half Martial Emperor." Buzz. Under Miao Yin's astonished gaze, Wang Kai's aura suddenly rose from the 6th stage of the half Martial Emperor realm to the 7th stage of the half Martial Emperor realm. As for the 9 clones, they rose from the 8th stage of the half Martial Emperor realm to the 9th stage of the half Martial Emperor realm. Miaoing was unwilling to believe such a bizarre thing. However, the truth was right in front of her eyes. The difference of 1 rank was like the difference between heaven and earth. Now that the 9 clones had all reached rank 9 half Martial Emperor, Miao Yin's heart was filled with hatred. However, there was nothing she could do. Even with the protection of her Emperor weapon, she could only safely escape. However, what about Bai Yin, who was being suppressed by the strange fire? Given Miao Yin's martial realm, before she reached the Great Emperor realm, she could only protect herself and escape safely by using an emperor weapon. Damn it, why is he so powerful? Before the Thousand Demon Conference, I cannot let Sister Yin know my true nature. Miao Yin's eyes flickered as thousands of thoughts flashed through her mind. Whoosh. However, just as Miao Yin was thinking of a countermeasure, she suddenly felt the aura of Wang Kai and the 9 clones suddenly weaken. They directly dropped by 1 rank. Such a shocking thing was truly the first time she had seen such a thing in her life. Could it be that you were burning your bloodline and divine soul earlier? Miao Yin said in surprise. Hearing that, Wang Kai casually shrugged his shoulders. He lightly nodded and said with a smile, "That's right. Ben Shao was born with thousands of divine souls. He also has an inexhaustible bloodline. However, your strength is simply too weak. Ben Shao does not need to waste his divine soul and bloodline power to deal with you." Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Thousands of divine souls? An inexhaustible bloodline? As soon as these words came out, Miao Yin's expression was full of disdain. However, she knew that she was no longer Wang Kai's opponent. Because of Bai Yin, she couldn't use the emperor weapon to escape. She could only force a smile and said softly, "Young Master Wang Kai is really a rare genius. Miao Yin really admires young master. Why don't we turn hostility into friendship?" Turn hostility into friendship? Wang Kai sneered when he heard this. He immediately waved his arm and pointed. "Tie this little girl up for Ben Shao. If you dare to use the emperor weapon to resist, Ben Shao has absolute confidence that he can suppress your good sister, Little White, to death." Swoosh! Swoosh! In an instant, the 9 doppelgangers flashed and rushed over. Seeing this, Miao Yin clenched her teeth, but did not dare to use her emperor weapon to resist. Her heart was filled with unspeakable bitterness. If it weren't for her scruples about exposing her true nature in front of Bai Yin, why would she be restrained like this? Little sister Miao Yin, don't worry about your sister. Leave quickly. 9 Fox Mountain will definitely help you in the Myriad Demon Conference. Bai Yin suddenly opened her red lips and shouted. The urgency in her beautiful eyes was extremely obvious. However, her charming temperament could not be seen at all. Instead, it was like she was acting coquettishly. Miao Yin's eyes flashed with joy. She let Wang Kai's 9 doppelgangers capture her. She gently shook her head and smiled softly. "Sister Yin, what kind of person do you think I am? How can you abandon your elder sister in times of danger?" "My good sister." Bai Yin's eyes reddened. Looking at her charming appearance, it was unknown whether she was really moved or just pretending. "Pa!" Suddenly, a crisp sound exploded. Wang Kai came in front of Miao Yin with a dark face. He raised his hand and slapped Miao Yin's perky buttocks without any explanation. Feeling the softness and the rolling waves of flesh, Wang Kai's heart suddenly jumped. He swallowed a mouthful of saliva. He really could not resist the itch in his heart. He waved his hand and slapped again. "Who told you to act tough? Pa! Who told you to act tough again? Pa! Papa! Now you know what it means to be too smart for your own good? Who told you to be smart and play tricks? Papa! Pa! Hee hee! Even if Ben Shao threw you on the bed and did you now, would you continue to pretend with tears in your eyes? Pa! Under Wang Kai's lascivious smile, Miao Yin was extremely embarrassed and angry. Her pretty face was red as she clenched her silver teeth and endured without making a sound. She only felt that her buttocks were about to be swollen from the slaps. Even though Miao Yin was a lay disciple of Joyful Buddha Temple who practiced the Tao of wanting to stop, Miao Yin was still a virgin. She had always wanted to find an outstanding man to practice together with, but she had never found a man she liked. Once, she had a grudge with the blood-clothed Bodhi because she wanted to find a man to practice dual cultivation with. In the end, the blood-clothed Bodhi repeatedly chased after her. Moreover, the blood-clothed Bodhi was a woman. Miao Yin was extremely angry. Since then, she had never met a man she liked. In Miao Yin's view, only a man who admired her could treat her like this. But now, she had never thought that she would be humiliated by Wang Kai like this. But she had nowhere to vent her anger. She could only grit her teeth and endure. If she gave up now, wouldn't the humiliation she had just received be in vain? Sister Yin Yin? Wah! Suddenly, when Wang Kai still didn't want to stop, Miao Yin really couldn't bear it anymore. Her eyes turned red, and she cried on the spot, pretending to struggle a bit. However, because of Wang Kai's 9 doppelgangers, she couldn't move quickly. She could only sob and look at Bai Yin Yin with a face full of grievances. With such an appearance, even if she was really crying, Wang Kai would not believe it. For a scheming woman like her, it was easy to fall into the abyss if she believed it once. My good sister, Wang Kai, don't insult Sister Miao Yin again. If you want to humiliate, just do it. Just humiliate you, right? No problem. Bin Xiao was waiting for this sentence. I like sisters like you the most. Before Bai Yin Yin finished speaking, she was interrupted by Wang Kai. Then he walked towards her with a rather playful expression. However, just as Wang Kai was about to raise his hand to slap that seductive buttocks, Bai Yin Yin actually shook her body and transformed back into a demon fox's body. Seeing this, Wang Kai's face immediately darkened. His raised hand stopped in midair as he fiercely said, "Change back." "No, I won't change." Bai Yin Yin's fox mouth slightly opened, her voice extremely crisp. "Are you sure you won't change back?" "Pop." Wang Kai's expression was rather playful as he smiled. He extended a finger and flicked it. Suddenly, a pale white flame ignited. Immediately, Bai Yin Yin's body trembled under the pressure, and she immediately changed back into her human form. "Papa!" Then, under Bai Yin Yin's pale face and angry gaze, Wang Kai's 2 consecutive slaps ruthlessly landed on her soft and perky buttocks. "Wouldn't it have been better if you had done this earlier?" Wang Kai curled his lips in disdain. He furrowed his brows and secretly urged, "How many bragging points do I need to form a bloodline contract with Bai Yin Yin? Host, with your current martial realm, if you forcefully form a bloodline contract with Saint Demon, you need to spend 300 bragging points." It was actually that much. The reason Miao Yin was able to endure so much was definitely to obtain Bai Yin Yin's good impression. Since that was the case, as long as he could control Bai Yin Yin, Miao Yin would not be able to cause any big waves. However, he did not have enough bragging points. Recommendation ticket. Chapter 172. Boy, don't tell me you want to form a bloodline contract with the immortal goddess? Inside the Tower of Babel, Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers and asked indignantly. He himself had been bound by the bloodline contract under the same circumstances as Wang Kai. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and shrugged casually. He secretly smiled and said, "That's right. Rather than killing them, why don't they stay and be Ben Xiao's servants? A holy demon and a supreme youth on the sovereign youth list as his companions and beautiful maids. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" The 8th supreme youth on the sovereign youth list must have a great reputation in each province and would definitely be sought after by countless young experts. As for Bai Yin Yin, she had the title of the immortal goddess and was a holy demon. Her beauty and strength were both extraordinary, and her prestige in the demon clan was probably not far off. To be able to take these 2 as his maids, in Wang Kai's opinion, they would definitely be great tools for bragging and showing off. Ben Xiao is merciful, considering that it was not easy for you to cultivate and become a human. He will not take your life today. However, you must form a bloodline contract with Ben Xiao. Otherwise, even if Ben Xiao is merciful, he will kill you here. As the saying goes, humans and demons cannot coexist together. You must not let Ben Xiao kill you. Wang Kai said with an extremely indifferent expression. Sizzle, sizzle. The pale white, dustless fire leaped and burned, causing Bai Yin Yin's face to turn pale and her delicate body to tremble slightly. Hearing this, she bit her red lips, and her eyes were slightly red. Her beautiful eyes were filled with humiliation, but in the end, she clenched her teeth and said, "Yin Yin is willing to form a bloodline contract with Master." I only hope that master will not harm my 9 Fox Mountain clan. I'm the only holy demon and hope of 9 Fox Mountain. Buzz. Suddenly, before Wang Kai could react, Bai Yin took the initiative to open the bloodline contract, and a circle of blood-red patterns appeared under their feet. Sister Yin, Miao Yin's beautiful eyes widened, and she suddenly froze. She couldn't believe that Bai Yin would actually agree to Wang Kai. However, when Bai Yin lowered her head and dripped her blood essence with grievance, Miao Yin was completely dumbfounded. Wang, patter, patter. When the essence blood of the two sides merged together, the bloodline contract pattern also disappeared. An indescribable feeling appeared in the hearts of Wang Kai and Bai Yin. Wang Kai's expression was extremely complicated as he stared at Bai Yin. He had not expected her to be so straightforward. When he thought of the 9 Fox Mountain that she had mentioned, he could not help but come to a realization. He gently nodded his head and smiled. You are very smart and also very responsible. Ben Xiao will not forcefully use you to harm 9 Fox Mountain. First, she said to not harm 9 Fox Mountain, and then took the initiative to form the bloodline contract before Wang Kai had agreed. This was to make Wang Kai feel compassion, so that there was no need to raise conditions with Wang Kai. After all, Bai Yin did not want to die for 9 Fox Mountain, and could not die. Therefore, the bloodline contract had to be formed. Even if she succeeded in raising conditions with Wang Kai, making him promise not to harm 9 Fox Mountain, and then forming the bloodline contract, in the future, with the existence of the bloodline contract, Wang Kai could do whatever he wanted. Rather than raising conditions and angering Wang Kai, it was better to take the initiative to form the bloodline contract. This was Bai Yin's cleverness. Of course, all of this was because Bai Yin did not want to die. Otherwise, a dignified saint demon would rather die than become a servant of a human. This was the pride of the demon race. If not for helplessness, why would she ask for perfection? Thank you, master. Bai Yin respectfully bowed, but her face was still full of grievance. Some kind of humiliation was obvious. Wang Kai pretended not to see, but it was not because he was cruel. If he really let them go, then wouldn't he be in danger in the demon continent? If she did not agree to form the bloodline contract, then he could only kill them all here. AI, Ben Xiao is really a heartthrob. Even the dignified saint demon of the demon race, the immortal goddess Little White, is willing to form a bloodline contract with Ben Xiao. If being handsome is a crime, then Ben Xiao will definitely be sentenced to life. If being awesome is also a mistake, then this young master should be wrong for the rest of his life. The world of mortals is interesting, but Ben Xiao is lonely. Wang Kai's face was full of sorrow and loneliness as he sighed again and again. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. Received 10,000 experience, 10 bragging points. Bai Yin really could not bear it and actually chuckled. Although she had formed a bloodline contract with Wang Kai, she felt that it was very interesting now. However, the uneasiness in her heart was still difficult to remove, and she was afraid that it would really endanger 9 Fox Mountain. But there was nothing she could do. Humph, it's just coercion, and you're still bragging. Wang Kai, you're really shameless. Miaoing gritted her teeth, her expression full of disdain. Wang Kai raised his brow when he heard this, glanced at her with a rather indifferent expression, and sneered. As the saying goes, those with big breasts have no brains. You're just like that now. It is precisely because this young master cares about face that he has today's ability, and it is precisely because he is shameless that he has gained face. The truth is that a scheming bitch like you will never understand in your life. You what? Little White, you don't have to call Ben Xiao master in the future. Just call him young Master Kai. Now, Ben Xiao is giving you the first order. Tie up this little girl Miaoing. Tie her up beautifully. Do you understand Ben Xiao's meaning? Wang Kai said with a rather playful smile. Yes, master. Young Master Kai. Bai Yin respectfully responded. She turned her hand and took out a 7-colored ribbon. She approached Miao Yin and whispered apologetically, My good sister, elder sister has no choice. I hope you don't blame me. Immediately, Under Bai Yinyan's repeated binding, Miao Yin was directly tied up. Moreover, the way she was tied up was quite provocative. Her proud chest and perky buttocks were all highlighted by the ribbon. What made Wang Kai even more unbearable was that the ribbon was directly inserted into the prominent, deep cleavage, especially the buttocks, which were simply like a T character. Cough, cough, little white. Did you often do this kind of thing before? Wang Kai touched his nose and looked at her with a playful expression. He really didn't expect that his casual words would lead to such a binding method. Bai Yinyan's pretty face reddened when she heard this, and her eyes wandered. She bit her red lips and whispered, "Master, young Master Kai, the women of Nine Fox Mountain all use this to please the men they like." Fuck, Nine Fox Mountain is a good place. Wang Kai's heart suddenly jumped violently. He smacked his lips and pretended to be solemn as he said, "Little White, Bin Xiao went to the Demon Continent to see the famous mountains and rivers, as well as the customs of the various demon clans. I have long heard that Nine Fox Mountain is the most beautiful in the Southern Territory. Why don't we go to your Nine Fox Mountain first?" Libertine, despicable, pervert. Miao Yin's face flushed red as if it was dripping blood. She gritted her teeth and glared at Wang Kai with disdain and disgust. Bai Yinyan naturally understood Wang Kai's intentions and could only secretly say something, hoping that he wouldn't hurt Nine Fox Mountain. With the existence of the bloodline contract, there was no way to resist. She could only nod and grit her teeth. "I will follow young Master Kai's orders." Chapter 173. In the Demon Continent, in the Southern Territory, among the mountains. At this moment, there were two seven-spirit-colored scale pythons pulling a jade carriage as they leisurely traveled in the sky. Everywhere they passed, regardless of whether they were birds or beasts on land, they would all stop upon seeing this. Their expressions were solemn and respectful as they lowered their heads and respectfully kowtowed. Only when the carriage passed by did they dare to move. Inside the carriage, Wang Kai was lying on a soft cloth couch in the center. In front of him was a small jade table. On the table were gold and silver jade plates, full of all kinds of rare fruits. On the left side of Wang Kai, Bai Yinyan's white short skirt couldn't cover her slender snow-white legs. She was half kneeling on the couch, her slender jade fingers pinching a sparkling green vermilion fruit. Her pretty face was slightly red as she put it into Wang Kai's mouth. On the right side of Wang Kai, Sweet Sound's entire body was tied up by ribbons. She was curled up on the bed. Her face was filled with anger, and her eyes were filled with hatred as she glared at Wang Kai. Her perky buttocks were being continuously kneaded by Wang Kai. Wang Kai's expression seemed a little lazy and casual. His eyes followed the bead curtain, and he couldn't help but take a sip of wine. With a faint smile, he recited, "Building a hut in the human realm, without the noise of carriages and horses. What can I do? My heart is far away, picking chrysanthemums under the eastern fence, leisurely seeing the southern mountains. The mountain's atmosphere is beautiful day and night, the birds return. There is true meaning in this. I want to argue, but I forget the words." Good poem. This servant really didn't expect young Master Kai to have such great talent. Bai Yinyan's eyes flashed with extraordinary splendor, and she couldn't help but praise him. However, when she came back to her senses, her pretty face was red. She lowered her head, and her heart gradually became shy. However, Miao Yin, who was curled up on the couch, was filled with disdain when she heard this. Her tone was extremely unfriendly as she snorted, "Good elder sister, you must not be deceived by him. How can a lecher like him recite such a heart poem?" "Really?" Bai Yinyan blinked her beautiful eyes, looking seriously at Wang Kai. Wang Kai shrugged casually and glanced at Miao Yin faintly. He couldn't help but feel amused. It seemed that not all beauties were immune to poetry. At least, little White in front of him liked it very much. Haha, Bin Xiao started studying literature when he was 3 years old. Others can compose a poem in 7 steps, but Bin Xiao only needs 1 step. It's just a simple poem. If there's a competition in this world, Bin Xiao will definitely win, and it will be extremely easy, Wang Kai said with an indifferent smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. As soon as these words came out, Bai Yin Yan's eyes became even more lustful. Unexpectedly, she took the initiative to pick up a cinnabar fruit and gently put it into Wang Kai's mouth. Then, her pretty face became slightly red, and she lightly pursed her red lips and said with a charming smile, "Young Master Kai is a great talent. Yin Yin admires you. Would it be possible for you to use Yin Yin as the subject and write a poem?" Using by Yin Yin as the subject to write a poem, Wang Kai's face suddenly stiffened. He frowned and pretended to think, but his heart was bitter. Now, wasn't he lifting a stone and smashing his own foot? Even if he knew countless poems, it was really difficult to find one related to a fox demon. If young Master Kai is not willing, Yin Yin does not dare force you. Bai Yin Yin lowered her head and whispered, but her voice was extremely bitter, and her charming face was full of grievances. With such an appearance, how could she not dare to force him? It was clear that she was weak. Humph! Didn't you just say you could compose a poem in one step? Why can't you do it now? Miao Yin sneered disdainfully. Seeing that he was stumped by the question, she was really happy in her heart. Inside the carriage, it fell into silence for a moment, making the fragrance seem oppressive. Got it. Suddenly, when Bai Yin Yin was full of expectation and Miao Yin was waiting for him to make a fool of himself, Wang Kai suddenly waved his hand and snapped his fingers. Stepping into the Four Symbols Bridge at dusk, a white fox demon appears in the vast expanse. Her beautiful waist is wrapped in beautiful silk, half covering and half revealing her charming smile. Scryer's shadows flicker with longing eyes. Her hair is tied in a bun, and she walks calmly. 1 foot and 3 legs are charming. Looking back, I explore thousands of jade. Wang Kai shook his head and recited softly. Shua. The carriage became more and more silent, and only the breathing of the 3 people could be heard. At this moment, Miao Yin's beautiful eyes were wide open, and she looked at Wang Kai in disbelief. She couldn't believe that he was really so talented. Bai Yin Yin pursed her red lips tightly, and her eyes looked at Wang Kai with extraordinary splendor. Her eyes were full of affection, but in the end, she could only sigh in her heart and force a smile. Young Master Kai is really amazing. It is really a blessing for this servant to be able to accompany you. This poem, this servant will always remember it in her heart. Seeing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at her with some confusion. He couldn't help but ask strangely, "Little White, Ben Xiao personally wrote a poem for you, and it was so neat and extraordinary. Even Ben Xiao is about to fall in love with you. Shouldn't you also admire it? Why do you have to put on a sad expression?" Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. However, Bai Yin Yin lowered her head and pursed her red lips. Her eyes were full of helplessness as she shook her head and didn't say anything. Sister Yin Yin, you can't have taken a fancy to this lecture, right? You can't. The union of the human race and the demon race is the biggest taboo of the 2 races. Do you want 9 Fox Mountain to fall into danger? Miao Yin's beautiful eyes were wide open. She really couldn't imagine what was so good about Wang Kai. Not only did he sleep with a blood-robed Bodhi, but now even the immortal goddess, Bai Yin Yin, was so fond of him. No matter what, she was forced by Wang Kai to form a bloodline contract. It hadn't been long, and she already had feelings for him? Bai Yin Yin, to what extent did she like these scholars? Even Wang Kai couldn't believe it. No matter how hard he thought about it, Bai Yin Yin, as a generation's holy demon, as well as having the reputation of the immortal goddess, in this world where martial arts were revered, would actually like a scholar to recite poetry. Moreover, she liked it to the extreme. Even Li Ling Xian also liked to recite poems, but she wasn't as obsessed as Bai Yin Yin. Wang Kai suddenly had a strange feeling and could only secretly say, "Everything is possible in this world, and the mind of a beautiful woman is the most unpredictable." Ahem, Little White. Although Ben Xiao is a great talent and his literary and martial skills are at the peak of the world, You and I have just known each other, and we still need to get to know each other. If you really can't bear it, Ben Shao will sacrifice himself. Wang Kai touched his nose, and his expression was full of sincerity as he bragged. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience, bragging value 10 points. Bai Yinyan's pretty face became more and more red, and she bit her red lips, shaking her head and whispering, "Young Master Kai is so kind. Yin is afraid I can't bear it." What a straightforward refusal. When Wang Kai saw this, his face suddenly stiffened, and he laughed awkwardly, waving his hand and saying, just kidding, don't mind it. Young Master Kai, we are about to arrive at 9 Fox Mountain. At that time, I hope young Master Kai can, as this servant's friend, Bai Yin said with a red face. When Wang Kai heard this, he suddenly understood. Since Bai Yin was the only holy demon of 9 Fox Mountain, her status was naturally very high. If she was seen as a servant of a human, it would cause a lot of trouble. Thinking of this, he smiled casually and said, "Naturally." Chapter 174. Wang Kai, can you untie Miao Yin? You can't just tie her up and climb 9 Fox Mountain, can you? Miao Yin gritted her teeth and forced a smile. She hated Wang Kai to the extreme. She was the 8th Supreme on the Youth Sovereign list and a famous disciple of the Joyful Buddha Temple. She was sought after by countless experts and enjoyed the reputation of being a supreme youth in 6 provinces and 1 island. But now, she had been reduced to a prisoner. No one would believe it. Young Master Kai, Yin thinks we should untie Sister Miao Yin. She came to the Demon Province to participate in the Myriad Demon Conference. If the clansmen of 9 Fox Mountains see her like this, even if Yin is the divine ancestor of 9 Fox Mountain, it will be difficult to convince them to help her, Bai Yin said in a charming voice. Myriad Demon Conference? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at her with a puzzled expression. He asked in surprise, "Where is the Myriad Demon Conference held? Why is it held? Could it be that they want to join forces to attack a certain prefecture?" No, it's not to attack. Young Master Kai, in the Southern Territory, you must not speak carelessly. If you cause trouble, I'm afraid 9 Fox Mountain will fall into a precarious situation. Bai Yin said anxiously, You can't speak carelessly in the Southern Territory. Is 9 Fox Mountain the master of the Southern Territory? Otherwise, what does it have to do with you? Wang Kai asked in surprise. However, when he thought of all the birds and beasts along the way and how respectful they were to the carriage, he more or less understood. Bai Yin gently nodded. Her movements were extremely gentle as she pinched a grape and put it into Wang Kai's mouth. Only then did she softly say, "I've let little Kai laugh at me. Although Yin is the immortal goddess, my abilities are limited. Even if I control the southern domain in the open, in the dark, I'm still restricted everywhere. If some bad rumor spread, even if Yin is a saint, it would be difficult for her to escape misfortune." Puppet Overlord? Wang Kai was surprised. Even if the master of the immortal divine flame was not as strong as the Empress of Fanzhou and the other saint emperors, he could still achieve immortality by relying on the special flame. If that was the case, why would he turn into a puppet? But thinking about it from another perspective, wasn't Bai Yin under his control precisely for the safety of the 9 Fox Mountain clan? It seemed that no matter how strong a Xiuzhou was, he still couldn't escape responsibility. Then what exactly is the Myriad Demon Conference for? Wang Kai asked curiously. If he had the chance, he really wanted to go to the 1,000 Demon Conference to take a look. Just by hearing its name, he could guess that thousands of demons would gather there. 3 months ago, on Dragon Mountain in the northern region, the relics of the human clan experts appeared out of nowhere. Coincidentally, when the relics appeared, the experts of the Zhang clan of the Wu province were present. Therefore, the control of the relics was initially controlled by the Zhang clan of the Wu province. Later, because of the intervention of the Myriad Demon Palace, the Zhang clan had no choice but to withdraw from the relics. With the strength of the Zhang clan alone, it was naturally difficult to fight against the Myriad Demon Palace. Therefore, they invited the other 3 clans of the Wu province to jointly negotiate with the 5 major demon clans. In the end, it was decided that each side would send out 10 experts of a younger generation to duel at the peak of Dragon Mountain. The final winner would have the right to control the relics. This myriad demon conference was to discuss the selection of the 10 experts. Bai Yin said with a charming smile. Wu province, Zhang clan? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. In the end, it was because the Zhang clan failed to take the relics for themselves that they leaked the information of the relics to the other 3 clans of the Wu province. After they joined forces, they reached a consensus with the Myriad Demon Palace. Otherwise, the Zhang clan alone would have been expelled from the Demon Province by the Myriad Demon Palace. Since the selection is the experts of the Demon Clan, why did Miao Yin, this little girl, ask you to do something? Could it be that she wants to participate in the duel? Wang Kai said with a playful smile, while his hand touched Miao Yin's perky and soft buttocks. Miao Yin's whole body suddenly quivered, but she could only clench her teeth and stare angrily at him with a blushing face. If she could not endure it, let alone participate in the Myriad Demon Conference, she could not even hope to escape. Originally, she thought that Bai Yin had tied her up and secretly left some means to break free. After all, she was restrained because she wanted to save her. Although the motive of saving her was purposeful, in the end, Miao Yin had secretly tried to break free several times, but to no avail. In the end, she could only sigh sorrowfully in her heart. Little did she know that Bai Yin and Wang Kai had formed a bloodline contract. So even if she wanted to show mercy, she did not dare. Young Lord Kai is right. The 4 great families of the Martial Province and the Myriad Demon Temple all have the idea of not allowing other forces to interfere, so they have joined forces to check and balance the interference of other forces. Even if little sister Miao Yin is a disciple of the joyful Buddha Temple, one of the 2 pure lands of the Buddha Province, she could not enter the ruins in the end, so she wanted to disguise herself as a Demon Clan member and win in the Myriad Demon Conference. Naturally, she will have a place, Bai Yin said softly with a smile. So that's how it is. Wang Kai shrugged casually, looking at Miao Yin with a rather playful expression. He stretched out his finger and lifted her chin, smiling playfully as he said, "You chose 9 Fox Mountain because of your secret art, right?" Shua. As soon as this remark came out, Bai Yin's beautiful eyes suddenly blushed and her pretty face blushed. The secret art of the Fox clan was different from the joyful Buddha Temple's Tao of Desire, but in the eyes of outsiders, it was nothing more than a first-class secret art. Even if Miao Yin disguised herself as a Demon Clan member and used her secret art, as long as she restrained herself, the possibility of being discovered was very small. Humph! Wang Kai, looking at your appearance, I'm afraid you also want to participate in the Myriad Demon Conference, right? In that case, why don't we join forces? Your current martial Tao realm can't be detected by the Supreme Stone Tablet, so there must be a Saint Emperor who has used some means. This could be your trump card to win by surprise. Miao Yin narrowed her beautiful eyes and snorted coldly. Wang Kai smiled disdainfully, his expression indifferent. Just the Zhang family of the Martial Province. Even if Ben Shao fought alone, he only needed one hand to defeat them all. Why should I join forces with you? What a joke! Join forces with Miao Yin. Even if he was sold, he would have to help her count the money. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Haha, Wang Kai, it's not that Miao Yin is looking down on you, but do you know how many sovereigns are in the top 10 of the Supreme Youth list in the Martial Province's 4 great families? Moreover, there are also top 10 sovereigns in the Demon Clan. If you want to successfully obtain the qualification to participate, I'm afraid it's not enough. Miao Yin sneered. Whoosh! Wang Kai flipped his hand and took out the Supreme Stone Tablet. He used his mind to check the 1st to the 10th place. When he saw the last place, his eyes suddenly bulged and he couldn't help but smile in surprise. It turns out that my fiancé is in the 10th place of the Supreme Youth list. Fiancé? Bai Yin and Miao Yin's beautiful eyes widened when they heard this. Their expressions were somewhat incredulous. Haha, Bin Xiao has already seen the top 10 sovereigns. The first to the 5th place are all peak 9th stage half martial emperors. The 6th to the 10th place are from 6th stage half martial emperors to 8th stage half martial emperors. Moreover, the first place Zonglong is not a descendant of any great family. As for the rest of them, Bin Xiao can kill them all with just a spit of saliva, Wang Kai said with a disdainful smile. He flicked his hand and took the supreme stone tablet into his bosom. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 7th stage half martial emperor realm. Haha, that remnant is related to Jingxian. Alright, I forgot to tell you. That Jade Buddha was brought out from the edge of the remnant by Zhang Yuan. If Miao Yin's guess is correct, Jingxian will also go there. Miao Yin is really looking forward to it. When the two of you meet, who will win and who will lose? Miao Yin mocked with a face full of ridicule. Thank you for your 182-307-3756 tips. Thank you for voting. I can't thank you enough. Chapter 175. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He curled his lips in disdain and snorted. This question makes Bin Xiao want to beat you up. As the saying goes, men are superior to women. Jingxian is just Bin Xiao's wife. If they meet at the Myriad Demon Conference, she will naturally lower her head and say mighty husband with great longing. Finally, she will take the initiative to leave and find a place to live, waiting for Bin Xiao to come. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. As soon as these words came out, Miao Yin was full of disdain. She immediately said with a playful smile, "Young Master Wang is really a dragon among men. You dare to say such big words. When Miao Yin sees Jingxian in the future, she will definitely pass on message." Pass on the message? Wang Kai's face darkened when he heard this. The corner of his mouth twitched fiercely, and he couldn't help but tremble in his heart. If these words really reached Jing Xuan's ears, he was afraid that even if he didn't die, he would lose a layer of skin. More importantly, it would be difficult for him to live. But he had already bragged. If he admitted defeat now, wouldn't he lose all face? Thinking of this, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly and looked at Miao Yin with an extremely unfriendly expression. He smiled indifferently and said, "Unfortunately, although Bin Xiao is kind and doesn't like to kill, he has never eaten meat since he was a child, and will use countless silver notes to release the creatures that were sold. But you have sinned deeply, and now you want to provoke Bin Xiao to let you go, so Bin Xiao has decided to continue to tie you up. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have gained 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. You still don't want to let me go?" Miao Yin was so angry that she clenched her teeth. Her face was full of resentment, but she couldn't do anything to Wang Kai. Even if she wanted to use the emperor weapon to escape now, it was absolutely impossible. Bai Yin was a dignified holy demon and the controller of the eternal divine flame. How could a ribbon tied by her be so easy to break? Young Master Kai. Just as Bai Yin was about to say something, she was interrupted by Wang Kai's wave of his hand. She only heard him say with a mocking smile, "Little White, you can't even protect yourself right now. Could it be that you still want to plead for others?" No, what Yin wants to ask is, can young Master Kai fight on behalf of 9 Fox Mountain? Bai Yin bit her red lips and coquettishly said, her pair of watery eyes, looking at Wang Kai, almost made him drunk. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at her in surprise. He couldn't help but lift her chin and laugh softly. At first, Bin Xiao thought that you were a brainless little white with big breasts. I didn't expect you to be so smart. Open. Bai Yan's eyes flashed, and her beautiful face suddenly became somewhat unnatural. Indeed, Miao Yin wanted to use 9 Fox Mountain to compete for the ancient ruins, but wasn't Bai Yin also planning to do the same? If Miao Yin had a purpose in approaching Bai Yin, Then Bai Yin also had a purpose in being approached by her. No matter what, these two women were not simple. Fortunately, the bloodline contract had already been formed. Otherwise, Wang Kai would have wanted to leave them immediately. In Wang Kai's opinion, women could be smart, and the smarter they were, the more he liked them. However, the premise was that they had to stand on his side. Otherwise, wouldn't they be seeking their own death? Ben Xiao has decided that the Myriad Demon Conference won't participate. With Ben Xiao's martial Dao realm and strength, how could he participate in the competition of some little brats? So as to avoid people saying that Ben Xiao is bullying the weak, it's better to forget about it. Wang Kai shrugged and smiled faintly. Even if he wanted to go, he couldn't go so openly. After all, Wang Kai wasn't sure if the Liu family was among the 4 great families of the martial province. However, even if they weren't, with Liu Yao's current ability, she would definitely participate in the Myriad Demon Conference. At that time, Jing Xian and Liu Yao would also be present. Wang Kai really couldn't think of a way to solve the problem of the fire in the Emperor's palace. Hearing this, Bai Yan's expression darkened. She looked at Wang Kai with a face full of grievances. Her beautiful eyes were full of pity and bitterness. Even Wang Kai felt somewhat uneasy at this moment. Little brat, don't think that just because you've formed a bloodline contract, you could be unscrupulous and defenseless. She took the initiative to form a bloodline contract with you. It looks the same as the bloodline contract you took the initiative to form with Lord Cat, but its power is not the same. Don't be caught in a trap of your own making. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and reminded in a serious voice. Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. He couldn't help but squint his eyes and glance at Bai Yan. Then, he looked forward and pretended to be lazy. However, in his heart, he was secretly thinking. What Lord Cat said was right. The bloodline contract he had formed with him was forcibly formed by the system. However, Bai Yan's bloodline contract was formed by her own initiative. Although there was only one bloodline contract, and it didn't seem wrong, Wang Kai believed that the power of the bloodline contract was absolutely incomparable to that of the system's contract. Back then, Lord Cat had the idea of breaking the bloodline contract and secretly followed him. So, did this mean that Bai Yan also had the same idea? Whether she had it or not, he had to be on guard. Wang Kai's expression was full of indifference. He immediately turned his hand and pulled Bai Yan into his arms. He raised her chin with one hand and said softly, "Little Bai, Ben Xiao will tell you an interesting thing. Back then, Ben Xiao had an enemy. In fact, he couldn't be considered an enemy. He could only be regarded as a thumb-sized stumbling block. He boasted that he was shrewd and cunning. He repeatedly schemed against Ben Xiao. It could be said that he had hundreds of schemes, but in the end he was cut into dozens of pieces by Ben Xiao." Asterisk schwa. Asterisk as soon as this remark came out, Wang Kai clearly felt Bai Yan's tender body tremble in his arms. Her face was slightly unnatural as she smiled and said, "Daring to be an enemy of young Lord Kai, it's reasonable that he would fall into such a situation. Yes, little Bai, you're right. There's another more interesting thing." Ben Xiao thought about it. "All right, he seems to be called the Golden-Winged Great Peng King." Asterisk schwa. Asterisk Wang. Kai hadn't finished speaking when Bai Yan's pretty face turned pale with fright. Biting her red lips, she said apologetically, "I'm sorry, young Lord Kai. This servant was rude." It's fine, it's fine. That golden-winged Great Peng King was also an enemy of Ben Xiao. In the end, not only was he stripped of all his flame feathers by Ben Xiao, but he was also cut into dozens of pieces. There were also many people who were enemies of Ben Xiao. They all thought they were very clever, but in the end, they all ended up dead. There were even some whose entire families were wiped out. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. As soon as his voice fell, Bai Yan's forehead was already covered in sweat. Her eyes flashed with a trace of fear. Others could be ignored, but that so-called golden-winged Great Peng King. The golden-winged Great Peng clan was one of the 5 strongest clans of the Myriad Demon Temple. Little brat, what's the use of threatening her like this? Do you think she'll really believe you? Inside the heaven-connecting tower, Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers and laughed sarcastically. Wang Kai's expression was still indifferent when he heard this. He secretly smiled and said, "It doesn't matter whether she believes it or not. As long as she values the 9 Fox Mountain clan more, she will think about the consequences before harming Ben Shao." In Wang Kai's view, as long as he could make Bai Yanyan hesitate, it meant that he still had a chance to live. After all, Wang Kai admitted that he was inferior to a holy monster master. "Young Lord Kai, we've arrived at 9 Fox Mountain." Bai Yanyan bit her red lips and said with a forced smile. In the face of Wang Kai's words, how could she not see that he was testing her? For a moment, Bai Yanyan was also somewhat uncertain about Wang Kai's methods. And this was exactly what Wang Kai wanted. Chapter 176. When Wang Kai heard this, he raised his eyebrows and looked out through the bead curtain with a surprised expression. When he saw the 9 Fox Mountain, he immediately asked with a surprised smile, "It looks like a mountain, but is not a mountain. Such a building is really a work of the gods. However, why is one of the 9 tails broken?" What entered his eyes was a building with a 9-tailed demon fox lying down. It had a total of 8.5 tails, like a peacock spreading its tail. The building was snow white and made of white jade. On each of the tails and various parts of the demon fox's body, there were doors and windows. There were roughly 10,000 of them. However, the broken tail made the entire building seem like a fly in the ointment. That was done by the black-winged spirit tiger clan, one of the overlords of the southern region. Bai Yanyan's beautiful face was ice-cold as she spoke. Although there was still a seductive look in her eyes at this moment, there was even more killing intent. Black-winged spirit tiger clan? Why did it sound so familiar? Wang Kai furrowed his brows and thought to himself. Only when he reached 9 Fox Mountain did he remember. With a strange smile, he asked, "Is that Hu Qinxiu a member of the black-winged spirit tiger clan?" He vaguely remembered that in the Buddha region, Hu Qinxiu had introduced himself. Wasn't he from the demon region's black-winged spirit tiger clan? Bai Yanyan's eyes suddenly became gentle. She was surprised and said with a smile, "That's right, Hu Qinxiu is the former young clan leader of the black-winged spirit tiger clan." Does young Master Kai know Qinxiu? Former young clan leader? And it sounded like Bai Yanyan and Hu Qinxiu had a good relationship. Haha, of course I know him. Hu Qinxiu is Ben Xiao's sworn brother. When he was in the Buddha region, he saw how powerful Ben Xiao was and cried for Ben Xiao to be his big brother. To think that a man like him would cry all day, Ben Xiao couldn't stand it and accepted him as his little brother. Wang Kai said with a smile, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." Hearing this, Bai Yanyan's beautiful eyes widened. Covering her small mouth, she exclaimed in disbelief, "Qinxiu can actually cry?" He has been married to Yanyan for 3 years, and he has lived on 9 Fox Mountain for 3 years, but Yanyan has never seen him cry. In Bai Yanyan's impression, Hu Qinxiu was definitely not the kind of man who would cry endlessly. Otherwise, he wouldn't have married his niece to him. Who says men don't cry? It's just that it hasn't reached the point of being sad yet. Ben Xiao is so handsome and extraordinary, and also so handsome that he has attracted thousands of beauties. Hu Qinxiu's feelings of inferiority are understandable, so crying a little is nothing. Wang Kai smiled calmly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. If Hu Qinxiu heard this, he would definitely shout out in anger. Wasn't he beaten up? Didn't he still get cheated? The divine ancestor is back. That's great. That damned black-winged spirit tiger clan. We must ask the divine ancestor to properly punish them. Quickly go and welcome the divine ancestor back. The fragrant jade carriage slowly floated down from the sky, and from the 9-tailed fox-shaped building, countless figures flew out. However, they were all in fox form, and not a single one was in human form. Looking at the white demon foxes all over the ground, their bodies were not big, only the size of a wash basin. However, their tails were very long, at least 3 to 4 meters long. Some of them were even close to 5 meters long. Furthermore, the number of tails was endless, with 1 to 7 tails being uneven. Originally, he wanted to see the beautiful fox beauties on 9 Fox Mountain, but seeing this scene, Wong Kai felt like he was going to vomit blood. Young Master Kai, our monster clan likes to cultivate and live in our original form. If it's not necessary, we won't transform into human form. Bai Yin Yan's eyes flashed, hiding a hint of playfulness. Hearing this, Wong Kai snorted with a dark face, then stood up and walked down for the carriage with Bai Yin Yan. With his hands behind his back, his forehead was full of black lines as he looked at the white fox crouching on the ground. He had really entered a fox's nest. Young Master Kai, little sister Miao Yin Shi, Bai Yin Yan frowned and asked. Wong Kai snorted and with his hands behind his back, ignored her. How could he really let that little girl meowing out? Who knew what kind of trouble she would cause? Welcome back, Divine Ancestor. The tens of thousands of white foxes all lowered their heads and greeted him in an extremely solemn and respectful manner. The appearance of those white foxes was extremely similar. Other than the number and length of their tails, there was really no difference between them. Even their genders could not be distinguished. Get up, this is a talent on the Youth Sovereign list. His name is Wong Kai, and he's a good friend of this divine ancestor. He has come to 9 Fox Mountain for sightseeing. Everyone, please don't be rude to him. Bai Yin Yin smiled charmingly. Talent? Human? The tens of thousands of 9-tailed white foxes looked at Wong Kai curiously. In their opinion, a human being who could become a friend of their divine ancestor must be extremely extraordinary. Shua, shua, shua. Suddenly, under Wong Kai's astonished gaze, the 9-tailed white foxes all turned into human bodies, and what was even more unbelievable was that they were all women. Seeing this, Wong Kai's mouth twitched, and he couldn't help but ask secretly, "Does your 9-tailed fox clan have bad habits?" Can male foxes also turn into female foxes? He couldn't believe that the 9-tailed fox clan of 9 Fox Mountain, with nearly 10,000 demon foxes, were all female. Hearing this, Bai Yin Yan's eyes were filled with displeasure, and she replied bitterly, "Don't distinguish us by our gender. The 9-tailed fox clan doesn't have bad habits. Our 9-tailed fox clan is all female." They're all female. Wong Kai's expression suddenly became very interesting, and his eyes lit up as he looked at the demon fox beauties. They were all beautiful. Wong Kai shook his head and recited softly, pretending to be a gentleman. Golden hairpin on the head, emerald jewels on the waist, pearls on the jade body, the wood among the corals, where the silk robe flutters, the light carriage far away with the wind, looking forward to the brilliance, whistling like orchids. However, before he could receive the praise and admiration of the tens of thousands of demon fox beauties, an ear-piercing reprimand came from afar. Your divine ancestor, Bai Yin Yin, is back. This is a good time to discuss the Myriad Demon Conference. Whoosh! 3 figures floated down from the sky. One of them was a young man, while the other 2 were old men. Their figures were tall and sturdy, and their skin was dark. They had thick eyebrows and big eyes, and they gave off a mighty aura. Divine Ancestor, they have come several times these days, and every time they take away some of our sisters. They also injured sister Lian Lian and brother-in-law Chinchio. We hope Divine Ancestor will seek justice for us. The demon foxes were sobbing pitifully. Nearly 10,000 sobs resounded throughout the 9 Fox Mountain, as if they were mourning a funeral. Seeing this, Bai Yin Yin frowned and coldly glanced at the newcomer. Just as she was about to speak, she was suddenly interrupted by Wong Kai. Wong Kai's face was dark as he glared at the young man, and he sneered viciously. F***CKU, how dare you disturb Ben Sheo's poem? Are you tired of living? Chapter 177. As soon as these words came out, it immediately caused the beautiful eyes of the fox demons to ripple. Although Wong Kai's words were a bit rude, they had to admit that under such circumstances, what he said was extremely appropriate. Moreover, It greatly aroused the hearts of the fox demons. Human? Were you talking to this tiger emperor just now? The dark-skinned, burly young man's face turned cold. Together with the two tiger tribe elders behind him, they stared at Wang Kai in a sinister manner. As the young clan leader of the black-winged spirit tiger clan, he was the descendant of the southern region's overlord. Now, he was actually being reprimanded by a human in his own territory. This caused the burly youth, Hu Qianchun, to be somewhat unwilling to accept. Haha, if you really want Bin Xiao to point at your head and scold you, then Bin Xiao doesn't mind fulfilling your wish. You stupid tiger, with such a dark complexion, could it be that you just came out from a pile of dung? Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly. He immediately raised his arm and pointed at the burly youth as he sneered with a mocking expression. Swish! Hu Qianchun's face suddenly tightened as he stared at Wang Kai with an extremely cold gaze. He clenched his fists so tightly that they made cracking sounds as he sneered, Stupid human, do you know who this tiger emperor is? Do you know what kind of crime you have committed? Young Master Kai. He is the current young clan leader of the black-winged spirit tiger clan, Hu Qianchun. He is at the peak of the half-step emperor realm and has not entered the youth sovereign list because he is over 25 years old. Young Master Kai needs to treat him with caution. Bai Yin reminded him. Bin Xiao needs to treat him with caution? Hearing this, Wang Kai raised his eyebrows as he glanced at Bai Yin with a playful expression. He secretly thought that this girl was very smart. Seeing that he was confronting Hu Qianchun, she pretended to ignore him, leading the trouble to him. However, Wang Kai did not pay too much attention to it. As the saying goes, everyone sweeps the snow in front of their own door. If Hu Qianchun had not disturbed his mood of acting cool, even if the black-winged spirit tiger clan destroyed 9 Fox Mountain, he would not have cared. You are one of the overlords of the southern region, the black-winged stupid tiger clan's Hu Qianchun, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes as he held his hands behind his back and smiled with a playful expression. Hu Qianchun was furious when he heard this, his face ashen as he shouted, Let Bin Xiao, you're impudent. You're just like a woman. Since you're so arrogant, why don't you just do it? Under the incredulous gazes of the demons, Wang Kai was even more furious than Hu Qianchun. Not only did he interrupt Hu Qianchun, but he also released his battle chi. His figure immediately turned into a phantom as he attacked Hu Qianchun. Whoosh! The two demon clans' experts' complexions turned ashen. They wanted to step forward to stop him, but Hu Qianchun waved his hand to stop them. Hu Qianchun sneered and said, You are merely a mere rank 7 half martial emperor ignorant human. Ayo. Hu Qianchun instantly turned into his demon clan's original form. A pair of huge black wings spread out from his back. His body was as huge as a small mountain. His blood-red eyes were extremely demonic. When he opened his mouth, his white teeth were like silver hooks. 8 inner hidden gates. Imperial doppelganger. Whoosh! However, Wang Kai's attacking figure suddenly stopped. With a wave of his hand, numerous doppelgangers flew out from his body. Each doppelganger was like the main body, surrounded by blood-red and black airflow. The aura of the 9 doppelgangers were all at the peak of the 9th grade half-martial emperor and much higher. Take down this stupid tiger. Wang Kai suddenly raised his arm and pointed. The 9 doppelgangers simultaneously appeared and attacked. Their might was mighty and terrifying to the extreme. Just the aura that surpassed the 9th grade half-martial emperor was enough to shake Hu Qianchun to the point that he vomited blood and fell to the ground. Young patriarch, lowly human, hand over your life. The 2 demon clan elders narrowed their eyes and immediately appeared in front of Hu Qianchun. With a flip of their hands, they attacked the 9 doppelgangers. The might of the battle chi was at the great emperor realm. Big stupid cat, trap them temporarily. Don't kill them. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and transmitted his voice with a smile. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Lord Cat stroked his long beard and snorted with disdain. Only 2 9th grade great emperors from the tiger tribe. Forget it. It's barely enough for Lord Cat to stretch his muscles. The heaven-reaching pagoda flew out from Wang Kai's ear and turned into a stream of light, overtaking all 9 clones at the same time. Its speed was as fast as lightning. 3,000 illusion technique, illusion intelligence. Swoosh! Suddenly, under the astonished gazes of the Demon Clan elders, the 2 great Emperor Realm Demon Clan elders, who were waving their hands to attack, stopped. Their eyes lost their spirit, and they stood there motionlessly, as if they had lost their minds. They allowed Wang Kai's 9 doppelgangers to pass by them and reach Hu Qianshun, who had already vomited blood and fallen to the ground. They attacked together and easily pressed Hu Qianshun to the ground. You're so weak. You're just a 6th grade half-martial emperor. How dare you act tough in front of Ben Shao? Wang Kai's expression was rather disdainful as he snorted. He walked straight in front of Hu Qianshun, lifted his leg, and ruthlessly kicked down. Bang! Crack! The kick landed on Hu Qianshun's face, causing Hu Qianshun's head to shrink back into his neck. A clear footprint was left on his face. His nose, teeth, and even his facial bones were all broken. Weren't you very awesome just now? Why are you lying on the ground now? Could it be that you want to kneel down and beg for mercy? Bang! Bang! Following which, under Wang Kai's continuous kicks, Hu Qianshun's entire body convulsed and was covered with wounds. His enormous body was already out of shape, and his previous mighty appearance had completely disappeared. He laid there like a pile of rotten meat. Hu Qianshun was filled with fear, but he couldn't make a sound. He could only lie on the ground with regret. He never thought that Wang Kai would be so powerful. His 9 doppelgangers had all surpassed the 9th grade half-martial emperor realm. Before the battle even started, they were already suppressed by Wang Kai's aura to the point that they couldn't resist. Peak 9th grade half-martial emperor realm with a 6th grade half-martial emperor bloodline. He was already considered an outstanding expert. However, Wang Kai had a 7th grade half-martial emperor bloodline, the 8 inner hidden gates, and the 9 doppelgangers that were 2 grades higher than him. The gap between them was obvious. Kid, I don't care what you're trying to do, but you'd better kill the 2 great emperors quickly. Otherwise, my illusion will disappear. Elder Cat stroked his long whiskers and smiled faintly. Whoosh! Whoosh! Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at the 2 great emperors with a playful expression. He naturally could not let go of such an opportunity to break through to the next realm. He immediately took out 2 Yuan Qi bombs and flicked them directly at the 2 great emperors of the Demon Clan who were stunned. Puff! Puff! 2 streams of flowing light flashed by, directly piercing through the chests of the 2 demon race experts, causing 2 streams of blood to spray into the air. Congratulations to the host for killing 2 9th grade half-martial emperors. You have gained a total of 220,000 experience. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the 1st grade Great Emperor realm. At this moment, all the great emperors were dumbfounded. Even Bai Yin opened her beautiful eyes wide and looked at Wang Kai as if she was looking at a monster. Chapter 178. Wang Kai, don't hurt young patriarch Hu Qianshun. If you really want to kill him, you'll have to do it over Yinyan's corpse. Suddenly, Bai Yinyan's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Hu Qianshun. Her eyes flashed and her expression was serious, but she secretly transmitted her voice again. Young Master Kai, quickly attack Yin and kill Hu Qianshun. If you let him return to the clan alive, I'm afraid you will be in danger. Moreover, if Yin is indifferent to Hu Qianshun's death, the entire clan of 9 Fox Mountain will fall into misfortune. I hope young Master Kai can help Yin. When the 9 Fox Mountain's beasts saw this, their expressions were extremely complicated. Although they wanted to teach Hu Qianshun a lesson, they didn't have the guts to kill him. After all, the overall strength of the Black Winged Spirit Tiger clan was much stronger than 9 Fox Mountain. If it weren't for the immortal goddess by Yin, 9 Fox Mountain would have already become food for the Black Winged Spirit Tiger clan. Hearing this, Wang Kai slightly narrowed his eyes and looked at Bai Yin with a playful expression. He didn't expect this woman to still not give up and actually want him to kill Hu Qianshun. Moreover, after the matter With her stepping forward to stop this, the black-winged spirit tiger clan wouldn't be able to blame Nine Fox Mountain. Little Bai, do you really think Ben Shao is a fool? You think you can use him just because you want to? Wang Kai secretly sneered. His face suddenly became indifferent. With his hand behind his back, he said with an extremely intimate smile, "With Yin Yin's pleading, Ben Shao will naturally give you face. Hu Qianshun, you can scram now." Shua. As soon as these words came out, Bai Yin Yin's face immediately turned pale and her eyes were filled with panic. Originally, she wanted Wang Kai to kill Hu Qianshun and help Nine Fox Mountain vent their anger, but at the same time, it wouldn't arouse the anger of the black-winged spirit tiger clan. After all, every injustice has its perpetrator and every debt has its debtor. Even if Hu Qianshun really died, they should be looking for the murderer, Wang Kai. However, he never thought that Wang Kai would actually give such a reply and even address him so intimately. If he really allowed Hu Qianshun to return to the black-winged spirit tiger clan, wouldn't that cause the Nine Fox Mountain to fall into the danger of revenge? In the end, Bai Yin Yin had miscalculated. Wang Kai didn't have the thought of killing Hu Qianshun. Or rather, he did it first, but now he suddenly dispelled it. Even the two black-winged spirit tiger clan's great emperor masters had been killed. With such a great enmity, Bai Yin Yin believed that Wang Kai would definitely kill them to silence them. But he didn't. Ahem, Bai Yin Yin, your name is Wang Kai, right? Just you wait. This tiger will come and visit again in the future. Hu Qianshun trembled as he climbed up. Step by step, he staggered down the mountain. The extent of his injuries made it difficult for him to walk normally. Bai Yin Yin's eyes were filled with anxiety, but she saw that Wang Kai was still indifferent and didn't have any intention to pay attention to him. She couldn't help but secretly grit her teeth. Was he really not afraid of the black-winged spirit tiger clan's revenge? Die! Shua! Suddenly, Bai Yin Yin finally couldn't bear it anymore. She was afraid that Hu Qianshun would really escape back to the clan. She immediately turned into a stream of light and blocked Hu Qianshun's path. Pooh! You! Damn it, plop! Hu Qianshun's heart was pierced through by Yin Yin's palm. His body suddenly fell to the ground, and after a few twitches, he died on the spot. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly, looking at this scene with a rather playful expression. He had already expected her to do this. Even if she really let Hu Qianshun go back, it didn't matter. He was a free and unfettered person. At worst, he would quickly leave the southern region. At that time, the black-winged spirit tiger clan would definitely find Nine Fox Mountain. There were so many fox demons on Nine Fox Mountain, and all of them had different cultivation realms. It was impossible for the entire clan to migrate safely under the watchful eyes of the black-winged spirit tiger clan, who was also an overlord faction. However, since Bai Yin Yin really took action, Wang Kai couldn't help but be curious. How was she going to shirk the responsibility? Or rather, how was she going to frame him? With the absolute suppression of the strange flame, she definitely wouldn't dare to take action. And on Nine Fox Mountain, she was the only Sage Realm expert. Although there were other great emperors, Wang Kai wasn't afraid. Lord Divine Ancestor, you really killed Hu Qianshun. Many fox demons widened their eyes, their pretty faces somewhat pale. Some even couldn't help but tremble. Their hearts had already fallen into a nightmare of the black-winged spirit tiger clan's revenge. No matter, let's not talk about this for now. Great emperors quickly go to the foot of the mountain to guard. If there are experts who come to visit, do not let them enter Nine Fox Mountain. This divine ancestor wants to discuss important matters with young Master Wang Kai. Bai Yin Yin said calmly, then looked at Wang Kai with eyes full of hidden bitterness. Seeing this, Wang Kai raised his brow and snorted. He sneered and sent a message. Little Bai, don't look at Ben Shao like that. You just wanted to frame Ben Shao. Now that you can keep your life, you should secretly pray Ba. Bai Yin Yin heard this and panicked. She really didn't expect Wang Kai to be so shrewd. Logically speaking, after she became his bloodline contracted slave, he should have let his guard down. But now, she could only force a smile and send a message. What is young Master Kai talking about? Yin doesn't understand. You don't understand? No problem. Didn't you just say you wanted to discuss important matters with Ben Xiao? Let's find a secluded place. Ben Xiao will let you understand. Wang Kai's expression was indifferent, but his voice was extremely cold. Bai Yinyan's tender body trembled violently. Her eyes filled with tears as she bit her red lips and nodded gently. Then let's do it in the carriage. Pretending to be wronged is useless. Ben Xiao won't buy it. You wanted to frame Ben Xiao and kill him, yet you still want to pretend to be wronged? Even though, as the Nine Fox Mountains' divine ancestor, you have a responsibility to protect your clan, I'm sorry, Ben Xiao has no obligation to help you. Wang Kai sent a disdainful message. Then with his hands behind his back, he leisurely boarded the jade carriage. Behind him, Bai Yin bit her red lips, her eyes filled with deep helplessness and fatigue. The life of her clan was in her hands, and, if possible, she didn't want to provoke an unfathomable young master like Wang Kai. Inside the fragrant jade carriage, Wang Kai lay lazily on the soft couch in the center. With a flip of his hand, he pulled Miao Yin, whose face was filled with anger, into his embrace. His palm was naturally placed on her delicate buttocks and gently caressed them. As for Bai Yin, the moment she entered, she half knelt in front of Wang Kai, biting her red lips as tears fell down. She sobbed in a low voice, "Young Master Kai, although Yin Yin is the immortal goddess and controls the immortal divine flame, I can only protect my own safety, not the safety of all the clansmen of Nine Fox Mountain. I had no choice but to do this. I hope young Master Kai can forgive me. If young Master Kai can calm down, it doesn't matter how you punish Yin Yin. I just hope young Master Kai won't vent your anger on Nine Fox Mountain." Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He narrowed his eyes and threw Miao Yin to the side. Then he smiled faintly and said, "Come into this young master's arms and we'll talk." Chapter 179. Hearing this, Bai Yin eyes flashed with a trace of disdain. She twisted her body with a charming expression and gently fell into Wang Kai's arms. She believed that with her beauty, Wang Kai would not treat her too excessively. However, this complacent attitude did not last long. Wang Kai lifted her chin with one hand and hugged her waist with the other. His eyes slightly narrowed, and he said in a rather playful tone, "Bai Yin, do you really think Ben Xiao is a perverted demon? Haha, the beauty that you are so proud of is nothing but a stinky skin in this young master's eyes. No matter how beautiful and peerless your appearance is, if your heart is not beautiful, in the end, you are nothing more than a tool for the strong to play with." Pooh! As soon as his voice fell, Bai Yin's charming face turned pale. Her delicate body trembled as she struggled to break free. However, she saw Wang Kai snap his fingers, and a pale white flame appeared at his fingertips. Immediately, the pressure made her forehead drip with sweat. Her delicate body trembled as she shrank into Wang Kai's arms, not daring to move. She could not imagine that Wang Kai did not care about her beauty. How was this possible? Although Bai Yin did not understand Wang Kai, after getting along with him along the way, she felt that Wang Kai was no different from a normal person. He was also a pervert who loved beauty. However, this was not the case. Do you know that Ben Xiao has a fiancée named Lu Yao? Haha, her appearance does not lose to yours. And my lovely Jing Xian, her beauty is countless times stronger than yours. What else do you have to be proud of? Not only did you not sincerely admit your mistake, you even dared to use your beauty to seduce Ben Xiao. Could it be that you have lived for too long and feel that the world is boring? Do you want to die? Wang Kai said with a cold smile. Hearing this, Bai Yin's body began to tremble even more violently. She bit down on her red lips. Although she was unwilling in her heart and didn't believe that there was someone in this world who could surpass her own beauty, at this moment, she didn't dare to refute. Only infinite fear filled her heart. What they didn't know was that the beauty Wang Kai was talking about wasn't just her looks. Jing Xian's beauty and Bai Yin's had their own strengths and weaknesses. However, she did not have Bai Yin's self-righteous and scheming personality. Meowing was completely tied up and curled up on a soft couch. At this moment, she blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at Wang Kai with surprise and disbelief. In her opinion, Wang Kai was absolutely a villain who loved beautiful women, but now she discovered that he wouldn't lose his mind because of beauty. You only have two choices now. 1. Die. 2. Give the quota to Ben Xiao to attend the myriad demon meet. Wang Kai's expression was rather indifferent as he smiled. With a flip of his hand, he pushed Bai Yinyan down. There wasn't the slightest bit of pity in his actions. Bai Yinyan tightly pursed her red lips. Her head was lowered, and her body was trembling. A look of unwillingness flashed across her eyes. No matter what, she wasn't willing to accept that Wang Kai was looking down on her looks. For the immortal goddess, this was undoubtedly an extremely strong blow. Young Master Kai, didn't you say before that you wouldn't attend the myriad demon meet? Bai Yinyan bit her red lips and said with a forced smile. The qualification to attend the myriad demon meet was an important opportunity for 9 Fox Mountain. It was also a major event that they had to show off. After all, 9 Fox Mountain was only a puppet overlord under the Myriad Demon Palace. If they couldn't even produce a capable person, the 5 great clans of the Myriad Demon Palace would definitely severely punish 9 Fox Mountain. On the other hand, if 9 Fox Mountain's participation could make the pantheon of demons shine, 9 Fox Mountain's prestige and status in the pantheon of demons would soar too. By then, they would no longer have to worry about the black-winged spiritual tigers. As the puppet overlord of the southern region under the control of the Myriad Demon Palace, they naturally had the opportunity to attend the Myriad Demon Meet. Therefore, Bai Yinyan was unwilling to give up this opportunity. How can a mere Myriad Demon Meet be qualified for Ben Xiao to attend? Even the 10,000 Demon Palace is nothing in front of this young master. The only reason I want the right to participate in the 1,000 Demon Conference is because I want to sell it. Wang Kai shrugged as he laughed in an extremely casual manner. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Selling off such an important opportunity to attend the Myriad Demon Meet? Bai Yinyan's beautiful eyes widened. She suddenly felt a surge of anger in her heart. For 9 Fox Mountain, she didn't want to fall out with the black-winged spirit tiger clan. She also wanted to preserve her qualification to attend the meet. But Wang Kai wanted to sell it off. However, she couldn't do anything to Wang Kai. The suppression of a strange fire was the key to her death. Young Master Kai, if you want spirit stones or magical artifacts, Yin can give. Bai Yinyan suppressed the anger in her heart and said through gritted teeth. However, before she could finish, Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted her. You don't have the right to negotiate with Ben Xiao. There are only 2 paths in front of you, death or life. Don't think that Ben Xiao is heartless. You should be glad that you still have the opportunity to be used by Ben Xiao. Otherwise, do you know how miserable your end would be? Wang Kai sneered. Whoosh! With these words, Bai Yinyan finally lost all hope. Her eyes were full of regret. If she didn't provoke Wang Kai, she wouldn't be in such a helpless situation. Then, Bai Yinyan's jade-like hand trembled as she took out a green square token. The front was engraved with the words, Myriad Demon Meet, and the back was engraved with a phoenix bathed in fire. Pata! Wang Kai reached out and played with it in his palm. Looking at the phoenix bathed in fire, he couldn't help but smile in surprise. The force above you that controls 9 Fox Mountain is the Phoenix Clan. That's right. Bai Yinyan bit her red lips, lowered her head, and said reluctantly, with the pride of the immortal goddess, to be able to endure to this extent was already extraordinary. Wang Kai didn't care about this. With a flip of his hand, he put the token into his space ring. Turning around, he carried Miao Yin on his shoulder and said with a faint smile, in the future, remember not to be enemies with Ben Xiao. Living is a very beautiful thing. If you only realize it when you are about to die, it will be too late. If Wang Kai hadn't seen that everything Bai Yinyan did was for the sake of the entire 9 Fox Mountain, she would have died without a doubt because of the previous framing. A woman No matter how strong she was, daring to take on such a heavy burden was worthy of respect. But even so, Wang Kai naturally wouldn't let go of the punishment she deserved. Boy, with your character, the result should be to take her into your room. Cat Lord stroked his long whiskers and said with a surprised smile. Hearing this, Wang Kai disdainfully curled his lips and snorted. Bin Xiao likes beauties, but it also depends on who the other party is. A smart and scheming, beautiful woman. If her heart isn't on Bin Xiao's side, what's the use of having her? Isn't it just waiting to be killed by her? Then why don't you kill her? Isn't this leaving behind trouble in the future? Cat Lord narrowed his eyes and sneered. In the end, this was what Cat Lord didn't believe. With Wang Kai's usual style, he would never be soft-hearted if he could kill his enemies. She is the controller of the mysterious flame. Bin Xiao can completely suppress her. If you want to kill her, it is extremely easy. Sometimes, not killing is also a kind of punishment. At least, she still has to face the black-winged spirit tiger clan. Even if her body is indestructible, her clansmen, Wang Kai sneered. The black-winged spirit tiger clan would definitely not let the death of Hu Qianshun go. The black-winged spirit tiger clan would not ignore the loss of the qualification to attend the demon gathering. No matter what, Nine Fox Mountain would not be able to escape misfortune. Inside the Tong Tian Tower, Cat Lord's eyes narrowed as he stroked his long whiskers and nodded approvingly. Boy, you are not bad. You have Cat Lord's demeanor back then. Wang Kai, where are you taking Miao Yin? On his shoulder, Miao Yin gritted her teeth and asked with an ugly expression. She was afraid that Wang Kai would find a secluded place to kill her. Now, she didn't think that Wang Kai would let her go because of her looks. Wang Kai's expression was rather playful when he heard this. His gaze playfully swept over the fragrant jade carriage, but he did not bother with Miao Yin. Instead, his figure rose into the air and left Nine Fox Mountain. Chapter 180. If I had known earlier that this place was so far away from Treasure Trove City, I would have taken Little White's spirit snake carriage. Wang Kai carried Miao Yin on his shoulder as he walked through the air with a rather helpless expression. He shuttled through the mountains. It was a boundless expanse of green, but there was no trace of a city. If he hadn't learned from Miao Yin that there was a city in the southern region, Wang Kai would have definitely rushed directly to the northern region. He never imagined that there would actually be a total of 4 cities in the vast demon continent, and they were located in the 4 regions of the demon continent. The city he was heading to this time was the only city in the southern region, Treasure Trove City. The demon continent wasn't like the Buddha continent. As the saying goes, humans and demons never coexisted. Even in the entire 6 continents and 1 island, only the Treasure Trove Pavilion had the ability to establish a city in the demon continent. Wang Kai, Miao Yin has helped you so much. Can you let Miao Yin go? From now on, let's turn hostility into friendship. Miao Yin will never look for trouble with you again. What do you think? Miao Yin's beautiful eyes blinked slightly as she spoke extremely sincerely. Wang Kai raised his brows when he heard this. He snorted with a rather disdainful expression and said disdainfully, Little girl Miao Yin, you reminded Bin Xiao of the existence of Treasure Trove City in the demon continent just because you don't want Bin Xiao to take you on a long journey to the northern region. It's mutually beneficial for both of us. You, fine. Miao Yin just reminded you that there's a spatial formation in Treasure Trove City. Through the formation, one can instantly arrive at the northern region through a spatial jump. Could this not be considered as helping you? Miao Yin gritted her teeth and said. However, Wang Kai still didn't appreciate it. He smiled with a rather indifferent expression and said, You mentioned the location of the spatial formation in order to tempt Bin Xiao and make him give up on the idea of flying to the northern region. Now, haven't you fulfilled your wish and successfully made Bin Xiao go to Treasure Trove City? Hearing this, Miao Yin took a deep breath. Her pretty face suddenly turned livid. She clenched her teeth and her eyes were filled with anger. She looked as if she wanted to eat Wang Kai alive. She was really aggrieved by his rascal character. Humph! Once we reach Treasure Trove City, cultivators from the various provinces will be everywhere. At that time, with Miao Yin's reputation for being merciful in the various provinces. Wang Kai. Oh, Wang Kai, Miao Yin wants to see how long you can continue to be so awe-inspiring. Miao Yin secretly gritted her teeth and sneered. Wang Kai was not familiar with the Demon Continent. After flying for half a day, he still did not find any signs of human habitation. After pondering for a while, he decided to directly leave the southern region and head to the northern region. However, how could Sweet Sound agree when she knew about this? The northern and southern regions were separated from each other. They couldn't be tied up and carried all the way there, could they? It would be fine if they encountered human cultivators. Relying on her reputation for being merciful, she could cause some trouble for Wang Kai. But what if they didn't? Unfortunately, under the meticulous reminders, Wang Kai had successfully given up on the thought of stepping through the void and heading to the Northern Territory. But in the end, he was still unable to obtain freedom. Now, he could only place his hopes on Treasure Gathering City. Seeing that Sweet Sound had suddenly become quiet, Wang Kai couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. He smiled playfully and thought in his heart, since Treasure Trove City is a city created by Treasure Trove Pavilion, even if you play tricks, how much can you do to Ben Shao? Southern Region, Treasure Trove City. Because the southern region was connected to the Buddha continent and the Demon continent, the cultivators in the city were mostly Buddhist and demon cultivators. As the saying goes, humans and demons can't coexist. Naturally, Buddha and demon were also enemies. Wang Kai had never seen a demon cultivator in the Buddha continent. Now that he had come to Treasure Trove City, he had seen a lot. Looking at the demon continent cultivators coming and going, Wang Kai couldn't help but smile speechlessly. Ben Shao initially thought that the appearance of a demon cultivator must be extremely terrifying. I didn't expect them to be not much different from humans. It's just that their aura is a little violent and bloodthirsty. Ignorant. A demon cultivator is a human. Okay? It's just that the path they cultivate is different. Sweet Sound sneered with disdain. Slap. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard that. He raised his palm without any explanation and slapped her buttocks. The crisp sound and Sweet Sound's angry scream immediately attracted the attention of many cultivators around. Wang Kai, you big devil. Even if you imprison Sweet Sound will not agree to be your cultivation companion. If you dare to humiliate Sweet Sound like this again, Sweet Sound would rather die to show her sincerity. Sweet Sound suddenly shouted. Her pretty face was full of fearlessness, as if she wanted to end her own life. It's really Master Sweet Sound from the Buddha continent. She's ranked 8th on the Youth Sovereign list, a lay disciple of the joyful Buddha temple in the Buddha continent. It's said that this woman is merciful and never kills. Even when dealing with enemies, she will still be merciful. If persuasion fails, she will let them go. That's right. But who is that young man? How dare he kidnap Master Sweet Sound? Does he not want to live? Bah. I ask all of you to come forward together and rescue Master Sweet Sound. Humph. Old bald donkey. Although I'm a cultivator of the Demon Continent, I've often heard of Master Sweet Sound's merciful heart. Since she has been captured by evil people, I won't sit idly by. Let's put aside the enmity between the Demon Continent and the Buddha Continent for the time being and attack together. Bah. I won't refuse your kindness. In the blink of an eye, regardless of whether they were demon cultivators, Buddhist cultivators, or even some cultivators from other continents, they all surrounded Wang Kai with angry faces. The weakest among them were at the Emperor-to-be realm. For example, there were many half-emperors and great emperors. There were even dozens of sages. Such a lineup surprised Wang Kai. He had not expected Sweet Sound's reputation to be so good that even great emperors would take the initiative to help her. Even sages were willing to come forward. Ben Shao is not surprised that the cultivators of the Buddha continent can come to find trouble with Ben Shao. But you cultivators of the Demon continent, what are you doing here? Didn't you hear her say that Ben Shao is a devil? Are you idiots who don't understand the meaning of a devil? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at them with disdain. Swoosh! A cultivator of the demon continent stood up. He was dressed in a long black robe. His handsome face was devilishly handsome. He had a pair of blood-red eyes and long blood-red hair. In addition to the bloody and violent aura around him, he looked extremely intimidating. I am the Demon Emperor, the cave master of the Blood Drop Cave in the Demon Continent. My name is the Demon Blood Emperor. When Master Sweet Sound called me a devil, she was referring to you. She was not insulting the cultivators of the Demon Continent. The Demon Blood Emperor laughed coldly. The Demon Blood Emperor is right. If Master Sweet Sound is willing to call us a devil, we will gladly accept it. Unlike you humans, who often use the word devil as a derogatory term. That's right. That's right. Brat, I advise you to quickly let go of little Nun Meow-een, lest we demons come and skin you alive. Many cultivators of the Demon Continent immediately chimed in. Their auras rose, and they released their suppressive auras. They were ready to attack at any time. Wong Kai's face darkened when he heard this. He had not expected Sweet Sound to be so awesome. Even the cultivators of the Demon Continent respected her so much. Chapter 181. Wong Kai. If you put Meow-een down now and hand over the saint's blood essence and the exquisite martial skill, Meow-een might as well exonerate you. Otherwise, I'm afraid you won't be able to walk out of here safely. Meow-een sneered. Her face was filled with grievance, which infuriated many martial cultivators. Bastard! Quickly release young Nun Meow-een. That's right. Even if you're a saint, you'll have to lower your head in Jubao City. Ba, I hope you can change your behavior. Don't make this poor monk suppress you. In an instant, many martial cultivators scolded Meow-een. Their powerful aura spread out, causing the surrounding buildings to explode and cracks to appear on the ground. One could see how terrifying their aura was when they joined forces. However, the aura they released was not aimed at Wong Kai. After all, Meow-een was still on his shoulder. If it weren't for the fact that they were afraid of hurting Wong Kai, they would have already killed Wong Kai. Even a saint has to lower his head? Unfortunately, Ben Shao has never placed a saint in his eyes. Even if it's an emperor among saints, if he dares to act tough in front of Ben Shao will still beat him up. Wong Kai said proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the second grade Great Emperor realm. Hearing the notification, Wong Kai did not feel happy. After all, there were still saints in front of him. Even if he had broken through to the 9th grade Great Emperor realm, he would not be a match for a saint. Everyone, don't mind Meow-een. Quickly attack and repel him. Remember, don't take his life. Meow-een will be eternally grateful. Meow-een suddenly cried out in a soft voice. Her beautiful face was filled with grief and a fearless expression. Seeing this, the crowd was even more enraged. The Demon Blood Emperor scolded. Be *star brat. Did you hear what Master Meow-een said? Even if you kidnapped her, little Nun Meow-een never had the intention to kill you. You still don't know how to repent? Are you really tired of living? Ba, my Buddha is merciful. This benefactor, please quickly put down little Master Meow-een. A holy monk put his palms together and came to the front of the crowd. He looked at Wong Kai with benevolent eyes. Pa! Suddenly, a clear voice sounded out, and it immediately caused everyone's expressions to be startled. They looked at Wong Kai's palm and Meow-een's perky, but with extreme astonishment. All of them dryly swallowed a mouthful of saliva. They didn't dare to believe that he actually dared to take advantage of Meow-een under such circumstances. How is it? Do you all want to treat little Miss Meow-een the same way as this young master? TSK, this feeling is really not bad. Wong Kai smacked his lips and said with a mocking smile. In the blink of an eye, he raised his hand and slapped down again. Papa, Papa. Clear sounds continuously rang out. At this moment, Meow-een's pretty face was so red that it appeared as though it was dripping blood. She tightly clenched her silver teeth, and her red lips had already turned white. No matter what, she was unwilling to accept that he actually dared to treat her in such a manner in front of everyone. Even if she were to be released by him now, her reputation would be tarnished in the future. She would definitely not be the pure and merciful Meow-een anymore. Presumptuous. Give me your life. Swoosh. The demon blood emperor roared angrily. Immediately, he tapped his feet and waved his hands. Streams of black air rolled out and turned into a huge black palm print, pressing down on Wang Kai's head. Seeing this, Wang Kai squinted his eyes and snorted disdainfully. He said disdainfully, "A mere ninth-grade great emperor who hasn't even activated his bloodline power dares to act so presumptuously in front of Ben Shao. You're really a mayfly trying to shake a tree. What a joke." Fifth punch, life and death. Wang Kai didn't let go of Meow-een and didn't move at all. He only raised his fist and punched at the demon blood emperor who was charging towards him. When streams of black, white, and green air covered his fist, it landed on the demon blood emperor's chest. Bang! Crack! Under the shocked gazes of the crowd, the demon blood emperor's body exploded on the spot, turning into a rain of blood and staining the ground red. Congratulations to the host for killing a ninth-grade great emperor. The reward is 70,000 experience points. Congratulations to the host for breaking through to the third-grade great emperor realm. Young sovereign. He must be a young sovereign. No, he's not a young sovereign. If he left his name on the supreme steel, he should be below the half-step great emperor realm. Then his age, that's impossible. He hasn't reached the sage realm. It's impossible for him to retain his youth forever. He should only be around 15 or 16 years old. Could he be a hidden young sovereign? A young sovereign that hasn't been discovered by the Supreme Tao sect? That should be it. The battle chi that he released just now is definitely at the second-grade Great Emperor realm. However, he was able to kill the Demon Blood Emperor with a single punch. This proves that his bloodline power must be at the 7th grade or even higher. Everyone was horrified. Even the sages were shocked at this moment. They couldn't imagine that Wang Kai would be so powerful at such a young age. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He snorted with disdain. Are you all idiots? If Ben Shao wasn't so strong, how could Meow-een have fallen into his hands? Can you please use your brain before you go out? Bastard. Even if you're an Emperor Realm expert and have activated your bloodline power, it's impossible for you to capture Meow-een who has an Emperor weapon. There must be someone stronger helping her. That's right. It's rumored that Meow-een has long been connected to the Emperor weapon. Even a sage wouldn't be able to capture her without the help of an Emperor weapon. Everyone's faces turned green from the insults, and they immediately refuted him. In the end, it's just a mere Emperor weapon, isn't it? It's not that Ben Shao wants to boast, but a mere Emperor weapon is nothing to me. I've always treated it as scrap metal and left it at home. Wang Kai smiled proudly. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Presumptuous. You're so young, and yet you're so arrogant. The ignorant are truly fearless. Extremely stupid. Everyone scolded him in disdain. If it was so easy to obtain an Emperor weapon, wouldn't all the cultivators present have one? One must know that the sages present were only using Emperor weapons. You don't believe me? No problem. Ben Shao can show you. Under everyone's disdainful gaze, Wang Kai stretched out his hand and summoned a plate from the house into his hand. Soldiers in grass and trees. Buzz. A green stream of light flowed across the plate. Then, Wang Kai held the plate in his hand and smiled faintly. Is there anyone who dares to come up and let Ben Shao smash it? Ben Shao will declare in advance that this plate is an Emperor weapon. Chapter 182. All the cultivators follow behind him and were waiting for Wang Kai's excuse to retreat. But when the outline of the treasure-gathering pavilion appeared before their eyes, Wang Kai's footsteps still didn't slow down, and he sped up instead as he headed straight towards the treasure-gathering pavilion. Such a scene instantly caused the hearts of all the cultivators to drum. However, at this moment, the most panicked person was Miao-yin. Others may have held a dubious mentality from the beginning, but when Wang Kai revealed his identity, she was already completely convinced and extremely certain. If it wasn't for that, how could Wang Kai have agreed to come to Treasure Gathering City? She originally intended to seize this opportunity to escape Wang Kai, yet she never expected that in the end, she'd been beaten at her own game by Wang Kai. Such a feeling of defeat caused Miao-yin to suffer an extremely heavy blow. No matter how she thought about it, she never imagined that Wang Kai was actually the emperor of the treasure-gathering pavilion. Wang Kai, release Miao-yin, all right? Miao-yin won't look for trouble with you again in the future. If you have any needs, Miao-yin will come to assist you. Can the enmity between us end here? Miao-yin gritted her teeth and requested via voice transmission. Wang Kai's brows raised when he heard this, and his expression instantly revealed extreme disdain. He puckered his lips and laughed coldly. How many times have you said this? Do you really think Ben Xiao has the heart of Buddha? Now, not to mention begging Ben Xiao. Even if you kneel before Ben Xiao, there's no room for discussion. Accept your fate, stinking bitch who thinks she's clever. Treasure Gathering Pavilion. Two middle-aged guards stood on the left and right respectively. When they saw a young man carrying a young woman and a group of cultivators from the various prefectures behind him, their expressions instantly became strange to the extreme. However, they didn't take any precautions because everyone knew that if human cultivators wanted to be safe within the demon prefecture, then they had to seek help from the treasure-gathering pavilion, and they'd never seen a single person that dared to cause trouble at the treasure-gathering pavilion. Stop right there. Who are you? Tell me your name. A middle-aged guard said lightly. Then, he and another guard pulled out their long sabers. They crossed their sabers in front of the door, blocking Wang Kai behind them. Such a scene instantly caused the expressions of the cultivators who followed along to be stunned. Even Miao-yin, who was carried on Wang Kai's shoulder, was dumbstruck. Oomph. As expected, you're an imposter. If you're really the Imperial Prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, why don't they recognize you? Bastard kid, you actually dare to impersonate the Imperial disciple of the treasure-gathering pavilion to deceive us. Even 1,000 deaths won't be enough to absolve you from the blame. Umitba, Benefactor Wang, if you let go of Nun Miao-yin now and sincerely turn over a new leaf, I and the cultivators of the Buddha continent will not take your life. Bullshit. Old bald donkey, don't spout nonsense here. This devil emperor wants his life. Instantly, all the cultivators started berating furiously, and it caused the expressions of the two guards of the treasure-gathering pavilion to become slightly unnatural. You claim to be the Imperial Prince of the treasure-gathering pavilion. Do you have a keepsake? The two guards asked solemnly. If Wang Kai was not the Imperial Prince, it would be fine. He would definitely be punished. If he was really the Imperial Prince, if he spoke disrespectfully, he would definitely not have a good ending. As guards of the treasure-gathering pavilion, they were not like other cultivators. They naturally had to treat the Imperial Prince of the treasure-gathering pavilion seriously. Swoosh! Under the disdainful gazes of the crowd, Wang Kai flipped his hand and took out the 7-color token. He smiled faintly and said, "This is my first time in the demon continent. It's reasonable that you don't know me." Plop! Plop! The two guards looked extremely solemn. They quickly put away their long sabers and knelt on one knee on the ground. They said respectfully, "Greetings, Imperial Prince. It's really the Imperial Prince of the treasure-gathering pavilion." Everyone's expression changed drastically when they saw this. Some of the people who had shouted the most fiercely just now were so scared that their faces turned pale. Oomph, a bunch of snobbish fish and turtles. Serves you right for being under others. Wang Kai sneered disdainfully. In the blink of an eye, he carried Miao-yin and walked into the treasure-gathering pavilion. Everyone was furious when they heard this. The dozens of saints were even flushed with anger. A dignified Saint Realm expert was actually reprimanded by a junior like this. One could imagine their anger. However, in front of the treasure-gathering pavilion. How could they dare to refute the imperial prince? All right, don't you want to save Miaoyin? No problem. In 3 days, this imperial prince will let the treasure-gathering pavilion spread the news to the various provinces and hold a grand auction. Yes, it will be called the Miaoyin auction. Wang Kai smiled faintly. The corners of his mouth were full of playfulness. When Wang Kai's figure disappeared from the treasure-gathering pavilion, everyone was already in a daze. Miaoyin auction? Is he going to auction Miaoyin as an item? Ba, this matter must be quickly sent to the Mary Buddha temple in the Buddhist state. Such a thing must not be allowed to happen. Not allowed to happen. If you have the ability to stop the treasure-gathering pavilion, that's fine. I'm afraid that even the abbot of the Mary Buddha temple can only come to the auction to rescue Miaoyin. What bad luck. I thought I could just take Miaoyin back to the demon state and play with her. Now, I'm afraid it's not possible. Sigh, that imperial... Cough, cough. Inside the treasure-gathering pavilion, Wang Kai carried Miaoyin and listened to the discussions outside. Ha, Miaoyin, you have to thank Ben Shao. If it weren't for Ben Shao's tough body, even if you were rescued now, your end wouldn't be any better. Wang Kai sneered with a disdainful look. Miaoyin clenched her teeth and didn't say a word. She naturally knew the mentality of some of those experts. Even if she had the ability to escape from their hands, she was unwilling to explain or refute Wang Kai at this moment. After all, the cause and effect had already been set. No matter what, she couldn't change her fate of being auctioned. Sir, it's you. Imperial. Emperor's son. Plop. Howrun. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him with a surprised expression. He was puzzled and asked, "Why are you in the treasure-gathering pavilion in the demon state instead of doing your job in the ancient blissful city?" The person kneeling before him was a middle-aged man with a bloated body. His triangular eyes were slightly narrowed, and his face was oily, giving him a rather shrewd appearance. Coupled with the items that sparkled with golden light all over his body, he was the manager of the Endless Treasures Pavilion in the ancient city of Bliss, Howrun. Emperor's son, you may not know, but Lord Emperor Fan thought of this little one's merit. So he sent this little one to the southern territory of the demon state to wait here for Emperor's son. Howrun said respectfully, "The order of Lord Emperor Fan?" Wang Kai shrugged when he heard this and smiled casually. "I wonder why my good adopted sister ordered you to wait for this prince. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Good sister." The corner of Hao Ren's mouth twitched fiercely. Miaoyin, who was on his shoulder, opened her beautiful eyes wide. She originally thought that Wang Kai was Lord Emperor Fan's disciple, but when she heard him call Lord Emperor Fan his sister, she found it hard to accept. Chapter 183. Your Highness, Lord Emperor Fan ordered me to give this to Your Highness and to assist Your Highness in the demon continent, Howrun said with a smile. He flipped his hand and took out a scroll. Then, he bowed respectfully and held it up. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He reached out and took the scroll. In the blink of an eye, he mercilessly threw Miaoyin to the ground and said with a faint smile, "Tell someone to take good care of her. If anything goes wrong, bring your head to me." "Bring your head to me?" "Yes, Your Highness. I will arrange for 10 Saint Realm experts to watch over her. There will be no mistakes." Howrun was so scared that he quickly cupped his fists and complied with the order. His back was drenched in cold sweat. "Bastard! Wang Kai, you despicable man. You can't treat Miaoyin like this." Miaoyin gritted her teeth and tears welled up in her eyes. She had never been treated like this since she started cultivating. 10 Saint Realm experts? No wonder there were so many Saint Realm human cultivators here. Wang Kai nodded with great satisfaction. In the demon continent, if a human cultivator below the Emperor Realm wanted to train here, they would most likely die. Similarly, if the Endless Treasures Pavilion was able to build a town here, they must have sent Saint Realm experts to guard it. Well, in 3 days, I will personally host a grand auction. There's only one item up for auction, and that is her. You can spread the news to all the provinces." Wang Kai shrugged and smiled playfully. Hao Ren's pupils suddenly shrank when he heard this. He looked at Miao Yin in disbelief and only reacted after a long while. He exclaimed, "Your Highness, is this woman Miao Yin, who is ranked 8th on the youth sovereign list, the disciple of the Mary Buddha Temple?" "Yes, it is Miao Yin. Steward, I hope you can report this matter to Lord Emperor Fan. If you don't want the Mary Buddha Temple to fight with the Endless Treasures Pavilion, you must release Miao Yin as soon as possible." Miao Yin gritted her teeth and shouted. Her eyes suddenly lit up with hope. Even if he knew that the Endless Treasures Pavilion was powerful, he couldn't ignore the joyful Buddha Temple. However, this hope didn't last for long before Hao Run rubbed his hands and said with a smile, "Hee, Your Highness is truly wise. This woman is extremely famous in the various provinces. This auction will definitely alarm the cultivators of the various provinces. At that time, we will definitely make a huge profit." Whoosh! As soon as these words came out, it immediately caused Miao Yin's face to stiffen. Her eyes were filled with anger as she gritted her teeth. Her heart was already in complete despair. "No wonder you can improve so quickly. Not bad. You have a bright future ahead of you. Find a secluded place for me to rest," Wang Kai said with a smile of admiration. It had to be said that Hao Run was very shrewd. Hearing this, Hao Ren's triangular eyes narrowed. He quickly stepped aside and stretched out his hand. He said respectfully, "Your Highness, this way please." In a sealed stone room, Wang Kai was sitting on a stone bed, frowning as he looked at the scrolls sent by Fan Di. "Northern Domain, under Black Tortoise Mountain, Oxter Ridge. Big Stupid Cat, do you know this place?" Inside the Tower of Babel, Lord Cat stroked his long beard and thought for a moment before saying, "Lord Cat naturally knows about Black Tortoise Mountain. It is the most inviolable place in the Northern Domain. It is where Black Tortoise, one of the 4 divine beasts, used to cultivate. Even though Black Tortoise no longer cultivates there, Black Tortoise Mountain is still worshipped by thousands of monsters. As for Oxter Ridge, the Black Tortoise Mountain range is extremely vast, and there are countless mountains and ridges. Lord Cat has never heard of it. One of the 4 divine beasts, Black Tortoise, used to cultivate." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes slightly. He didn't expect Neoja Tian to be under Black Tortoise Mountain. He immediately put away the scroll and couldn't help but chuckle softly. Neoja Tian, who has jumped out of the 3 realms and is not bound by the 5 elements. Haha, such a pretentious name and self-introduction. Bin Shao really wants to see if this bull is really awesome or not. Jumped out of the 3 realms and is not bound by the 5 elements? Such a character. Haha, Lord Cat doesn't want to discourage you, but I'm afraid there is no one like him in the 6 continents and 1 island. Even if there is, it would be difficult to find him." Lord Cat stroked his long beard and smiled mysteriously. "Can't find him?" When Wang Kai heard this, he shrugged casually. If he couldn't find him, then so be it. At least he wouldn't be in a dangerous situation. However, based on the self-introduction and name, such a character must be extremely pretentious. Even his bragging skills must not be weak. Shrinking Earth into an inch. High Emperor level martial skill, 20 bragging points. Gate of Time. High Emperor level martial skill, 20 bragging points. Palm print 8 desolation. Now that he had reached the Great Emperor realm, he could naturally practice Emperor-level martial skills. Wang Kai roughly swept his gaze over the Emperor-level martial skills in the system. Then he activated his mind and said, "Practice all of them. Congratulations to the host for successfully practicing the High Emperor-level martial skill. Shrinking Earth into an inch. 20 bragging points have been consumed. Congratulations to the host for successfully practicing the High Emperor level martial skill, Gate of Time. 20 bragging points have been consumed. Congratulations to the host for successfully practicing the High Emperor level martial skill, Palm Print 8 Desolation. 20 bragging points have been consumed. Congratulations to the host for successfully practicing the High Emperor level martial skill, Thunderclap Sword. 20 bragging points have been consumed. Congratulations to the host for successfully practicing the High Emperor level martial skill, Myriad Demon Transformation. 20 bragging points have been consumed. Host, Wonkai Profession, Martial Artist Realm. 4th grade Great Emperor Cultivation Technique. Taiju Emperor Technique Martial Skills. Shrinking Earth into an Inch, Gate of Time, Palm Print 8 Desolation, Thunderclap Sword, Myriad Demon Transformation, Yuan Chi Bullet Equipment, Tong Tian Tower Bloodline, 7th grade Bragging Points, 99 Experience. 5000070000 Wong Kai casually glanced at the screen and closed it. He couldn't help but shake his head and sigh. Ben Xiao is indeed a peerless genius. The speed of his breakthrough is unprecedented. He has only cultivated for less than a year, and he has already reached the Great Emperor Realm. If Ben Xiao is willing, he can reach the Emperor Realm in just one day. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Hearing the notification, Wong Kai helplessly smacked his lips. If he wanted to make up for the bragging points he had used up, he would have to brag at least 9 times. Now that he was about to reach the peak of the 9th grade Great Emperor Realm, how many bragging points would he need to practice the Saint-level martial skill? This situation made Wong Kai feel for the first time that the lack of bragging points was a sin. Boy, Lord Cat doesn't want to pay attention to your bragging. But do you know what an Emperor Realm is? Above the Great Emperor Realm is the Saint Realm. After that, it is the King of the Saint Realm, the Emperor of the Saint Realm, and finally, the Emperor Realm. Do you think it's so easy to reach the Great Sage Realm? Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and ridiculed with disdain. Saint, Saint King, Saint Emperor, Saint Emperor. Wong Kai's expression was incomparably indifferent. He shrugged his shoulders and smiled casually. So what? With Ben Xiao's shocking talent, if he wants to break through to the Emperor Realm, it will only take a blink of an eye. There is nothing to worry about. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 5th grade Great Emperor Realm. That's right, it was that simple. Your Highness, I have ordered people to spread the news to the 6 prefectures and 1 island. It will only take 1 day for everyone to know. Outside the stone room, Hao Ren's respectful voice slowly sounded. Wong Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard that. He smiled softly and said, "Well, you have done well. Go and take good care of Miao Yin. I'm going to cultivate in seclusion for 3 days." "Yes, Your Highness." "I've caught a cold, and my head has been dizzy recently. Therefore, I have been writing very slowly. I have to be more careful than before. I hope that everyone will be magnanimous enough to forgive me. I will get better soon. Thank you for your support and love. Tomorrow is Monday. Remember to leave your recommendation ticket for me." Chapter 184. For 3 consecutive days, countless cultivators from 6 continents and 1 island had gathered in Treasure Trove City in the southern region of the Demon Continent. Many of the young experts on the Youth Sovereign Leaderboard, including the top 100 talents and even the top 10 youth sovereigns, had come. There were also some famous experts of the older generation from the 6 prefectures and 1 island. Many of them had come. It could be said to be a gathering of the winds and clouds. They all wanted to see what the Crown Prince of Treasure Trove Pavilion was capable of. How dare he auction off the number 8 figure on the Sovereign Youth list? Today was the opening day of the Sweet Sound Auction. The entire 5 floors of the huge Endless Treasures building were filled with people from the bottom to the top. However, the seats were limited after all. Many experts who came did not even have the qualifications to enter the Endless Treasures building. Since one was able to sit within the treasure gathering pavilion, one's family was surely extremely strong. Even if one didn't have the support of a strong family, One had to possess an extremely resounding reputation and even possess a mysterious and unfathomable master to be able to enter this place. Crown Prince, all 5 floors of Treasure Trove Pavilion are full. Outside the stone room, Howrun bowed slightly. Behind him were 2 old men with white hair. They did not have a strong aura, just like ordinary people. Rumble. The stone door slowly opened, revealing Wong Kai in his spotless white robe. Although his face looked young and inexperienced, it could still be considered delicate and pretty. His appearance and age immediately shocked the 2 old men. He was only 16 years old, but he had already reached the great emperor realm. Such an outstanding figure. Even the young sovereign was inferior to him. Imperial doppelganger. Swoosh! A doppelganger floated out of Wong Kai's body. Howrun and the 2 Saint Realm experts looked on in confusion. The doppelganger's appearance changed. It turned into a young man in his 20s with an ordinary face. Kid, this illusion of Lord Cat can maintain my doppelganger's appearance for 4 hours. Although Lord Cat doesn't know what you're doing, you must remember to control the time and not make any mistakes. Among the auras of the experts outside, Lord Cat doesn't care about the saints, but those saint kings. You should know how important they are. Lord Cat stroked his long whiskers and solemnly exhorted. Wong Kai narrowed his eyes when he heard that. He had never thought that even a saint ruler would come. Miao Yin sure played with her reputation well. He immediately smiled indifferently. Have you prepared the location for Bencheo's clone? Your Highness, as per your request, we've reserved a spot on the 1st floor. Howrun hurriedly brought his fists together and replied, Crown Prince, why did you create another clone? Could it be that the Emperor wants to use his own name to auction Miao Yin back? One of the 2 old men couldn't help but ask. Wong Kai immediately raised his eyebrows when he heard that. He looked at him with a rather disdainful expression and asked indifferently, What realm are you at? Your Highness, Old Man is at the Saint Realm. Old Man is also at the Saint Realm. The 2 old men answered one after another. Wong Kai nodded slightly when he heard that. He put his hands behind his back and smiled indifferently. Then do you know why a Saint Master has to submit to others? You'd better learn more about this from Howrun. Whoosh! Immediately, Wong Kai urged his doppelganger to leave on its own. He put his hands behind his back and leisurely floated down from the 5th floor. Next time, remember to speak less and do more. Does the Emperor need to report to you what he wants to do? Humph! Why don't you think about it carefully? If the Emperor really wanted to auction Miao Yin back, would he need to inform the cultivators of the 6 prefectures and 1 island? Howrun snorted with an unfriendly expression. The 2 old Saint Kings stiffened when they heard that, but they could only cup their fists in response. As the guards of the Trove of Treasures Pavilion, they would only appear when necessary. As for other matters, they still had to listen to the steward. They knew that Howrun's realm was low, but he was able to get to where he was. They couldn't help but secretly ponder over Wong Kai's words in their hearts. That young man, could he be Wong Kai? When Wong Kai floated down from the 5th floor, he immediately attracted the attention of countless cultivators. When they saw that Wong Kai was so young, they were all extremely surprised. They had never imagined that Wong Kai, who had caused havoc in the Buddha Prefecture, would be so young. However, the people on the Sovereign Youth Leaderboard squinted their eyes. They all had their own sovereign steels, so they were naturally very clear about Wong Kai's information and age. On the 1st floor, a red cloth covered the floor. In the center, there was a round table. The table was covered with a layer of red cloth, and the outline of the table was extremely alluring. Haha, everyone, you have come from afar to participate in the auction that I am personally hosting. It really makes me feel gratified. Wong Kai calmly landed in front of the round table and smiled playfully. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Gratified? As soon as these words were spoken, it instantly drew the furious gazes of everyone present, and they were extremely furious in their hearts. Doesn't such words mean that everyone present here is a junior of mine, Wong Kai? Wong Kai, you are merely ranked 11th on the Sovereign Youth Leaderboard. Don't you think that your words are a little too arrogant? A cold rebuke suddenly rang out, causing the crowd to raise their heads. When they saw the person who had spoken, their eyes flickered with anticipation. When Wang Kai heard that, he raised his eyebrows and calmly glanced at the young man on the fifth floor. He smiled and said, "May I know who you are?" On the fifth floor, a young man in purple robes stood with his hands behind his back. His face was extremely handsome, and he proudly said, "Zhang Ruoxuan from the Wu Prefecture." Zhang Ruoxuan? The person ranked 6th on the Sovereign Youth Leaderboard? Wang Kai's expression instantly became playful. With his hands behind his back, he smiled and said, "I'm sorry, but Bin Xiao has never heard of your name. You don't have to act so arrogantly. On the Sovereign Youth Leaderboard, Bin Xiao only knows a useless person called Zhang Yuan. Unfortunately, he is just like you, extremely good at acting tough. Unfortunately, he will end up being skinned alive by Bin Xiao." Swoosh! When those words came out, everyone held their breaths and raised their heads to look at Zhang Ruoxuan. They had not expected Wang Kai to be so daring. As the 11th genius, he actually dared to challenge the 6th Sovereign Youth Leaderboard. Even though he was the crown prince of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, his strength was obvious. They were both from the younger generation and had left their names on the Sovereign Youth Leaderboard. If they did not get along well, they could have a duel, and the Endless Treasures Pavilion would not interfere. "Wang Kai, I will settle the score with you later on. I just hope that you won't rely on the Endless Treasures Pavilion to escape," Zhang Ruoxuan said coldly. "Thank you for your recommendation vote." Chapter 185. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and snorted with disdain. "You should be glad that you're still useful because Bin Xiao still needs you to spend a lot of money to auction off Miao Yin's skin. If it weren't for that, you would be a dead man by now. Don't run away after the auction. Bin Xiao will beat you up." As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Ruoxuan's expression turned cold as he stared at Wang Kai. He couldn't figure out how someone who wasn't ranked in the top 10 on the Sovereign Youth list would have the guts to make an enemy out of him. As expected of the Wang Kai who caused havoc in the Buddha province. Big Sister thinks highly of you. If Zhang Ruoxuan dares to play any tricks, Big Sister will definitely beat him up for you. Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice rang out, causing everyone to turn their heads to look. Even Wang Kai was stunned when he heard the voice. On the opposite side of the 5th floor, in front of the window of a private room, there was a pretty girl. Her slender and pure white arms were leaning against the window. She had a rather languid and coquettish smile. Her beautiful eyes, which seemed to be able to see through everything, were looking at Wang Kai with extraordinary splendor. That's Lin Yaoyue from the Lin family. She's ranked 5th on the Sovereign Youth list. The Lin family has always been at odds with the Zhang family, and this girl is a head taller than Zhang Ruoxuan. I wonder why she's helping Wang Kai? Is it just because she's at odds with the Zhang family? Hearing everyone's discussion, Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and curiously glanced at Lin Yaoyue. He shrugged his shoulders and said with a faint smile, "If Miss Lin is interested in Bin Xiao, then you don't have to call me Big Sister, then Little Sister, then Wife. With Bin Xiao's outstanding talent, he will be a man that you will never be able to obtain in your lifetime. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." Whoosh! When these words came out, everyone was stunned, especially Lin Yaoyue. Her face stiffened and her red lips parted slightly. There was a trace of anger in her eyes as she gritted her teeth and snorted. "Wang Kai, not only do you not know your cousin, but you also don't know who she is. How dare you speak frivolously? Umipa, almsgiver Wang, since you're already here, please quickly begin." On the right side of the 5th floor, a kind-looking old monk suddenly stood up. He was wearing a golden kasaya, and beside his seat was a demon subduing pestle that was taller than a person. There were 10 incense scars on his head. 10 incense scars. This was only one level lower than the abbot. SSS. Master Jesus. When everyone saw that, they stood up and bowed to the old monk with their fists clasped. They were extremely respectful. Even the sages were like that. Wang Kai squinted his eyes. To be able to make the sages so respectful, his must have been higher. Thinking about it, this monk Ji should be one of the sage kings that Cat Lord had mentioned. I never thought that Ji Kong and Ji Chun, the two Buddhist monks, would be sage kings. Wang Kai thought to himself. Since Ji Jing, Ji Chun, and Ji Kong were their strength must have been similar. Thinking about that, Wang Kai couldn't help but feel a little lucky. It'd be better if he didn't cheat people in the future. Even if he had to do it, he'd have to do it well. If it wasn't for the Empress of Fanzhou protecting him, it would have been extremely difficult for him to leave the blissful ancient city. However, since a sage king's the joyful Buddha temples, treasure trove pavilions rules couldn't be violated. In that case, there was no need to be overly concerned. So it's Master Ji Jing who's come personally. Pardon me for not going out to meet you. Wang Kai shrugged his shoulders and pretended to cup his fists with a smile. Hearing that, Monk Ji Jing put his palms together and bowed slightly in return. Then, he sat back down on his chair with a calm expression. I wonder which forces the other sage kings belong to. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and thought to himself. His gaze swept across the surroundings one by one. In the end, he didn't find anything out of the ordinary. After all, other than the people on the first floor who didn't have any obstructions, there were private rooms from the second to the fifth floor. If the owner didn't want to show himself, no one would be able to investigate clearly. Attention, everyone. Bin Xiao announces that the Miao Yin auction has officially begun. Swoosh! Wang Kai's expression was solemn as he let out a loud shout. With a flip of his hand, he tore off the red cloth on the round table. On top of it, there was a beautiful and graceful figure. Moreover, the way she was tied up with ribbons caused everyone's breathing to become rough. Miao Yin's beautiful eyes were tightly shut at that moment, and her pretty face was extremely pale. As if she felt everyone's gaze, her long eyelashes trembled slightly. She was so ashamed that she didn't want to show her face. Good. Almsgiver Wang, I hope you can release Miao Yin. I can represent the joyful Buddha temple and form a good relationship with you. Monk Ji Jing suddenly frowned, stood up, and put his palms together. Form a good relationship? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows and looked at him with a rather unfriendly expression. He sneered and said, Master Ji Jing, if you bid according to the treasure trove pavilion's rules, Bin Xiao naturally won't make things difficult for you. However, if you want to come empty-handed and leave with a full pot, that's absolutely impossible. I'm willing to pay 108th grade spiritual stones. Suddenly, a voice like muffled thunder rang out, immediately attracting everyone's attention. When they saw that the person who bid was a middle-aged, burly man, everyone looked at him with disdain. The dignified God's favored girl, a figure on the Supreme Youth list, actually only bid 108th grade spiritual stones? Even Miao Yin had opened her pretty eyes at this moment. Her eyes were filled with fury and disdain as she glared at the large man. Even though she was extremely unwilling to be auctioned off, the other party's bid was really too low. To Miao Yin, this was even more humiliating than being auctioned off. What are you looking at? I'm offering 108th grade spiritual stones, not 7th grade spiritual stones. The burly man also felt the disdainful gazes from the crowd. He couldn't help but rebuke with a red face. Seeing this, Wang Kai looked at the burly man with admiration. He couldn't help but nod his head and praise him. Brother, you're really brave. You dare to bid such a price in such a situation. You're really not an ordinary person. Hee, Crown Prince Wang, you must be joking. Little Nun Miao Yin has been toyed with by Crown Prince Wang for a long time. I'm just trying to get a taste of her soup. The middle-aged, burly man grinned and laughed rather frivolously. When Wang Kai heard this, the corners of his mouth twitched violently. This woman was quite affordable. He shrugged his shoulders and smiled faintly. This brother has bid 108th grade spiritual stones. I wonder if anyone here wants to bid higher? However, the crowd was very quiet at that moment. Some of them even looked at the private room on the 5th floor where Monk Ji Jing was. Seeing this, Wang Kai immediately understood the situation. He immediately leaped up and sat cross-legged on the round table. Then, he carried Miao Yin horizontally and placed her on his lap. His palm gently stroked her back and then slowly moved down. Such a scene immediately caused the crowd's eyes to spit fire. Some of the younger generation even had murderous intent in their eyes. Slap! Slap! Two crisp sounds exploded. They saw Wang Kai waving his palm and mercilessly slapping Miao Yin's buttocks. He clicked his tongue and said, "This feeling, Sai, is really extraordinary. If you auction her back, you'll definitely be able to enjoy yourself like a fairy every day. If it wasn't for the fact that Ben Xiao is tired of playing with her, I really wouldn't want to auction her off. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." Chapter 186. However, the trove of treasures pavilion was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. No one dared to bid. After all, Xi Jing, the supervisor of the Mary Buddha Temple, was present. Even if they succeeded in bidding for Miao Yin, they wouldn't dare to take it for themselves. Even though some of the forces and families present weren't afraid of the Mary Buddha Temple, they didn't want to provoke them. Umph! Now you know how ignorant you are. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you have the Trove of Treasures Pavilion behind you. The Trove of Treasures Pavilion can protect one person, but can they protect everyone in the world? Zhang Ruoxuan mocked coldly. Clatter! Another window on the 5th floor opened, and a handsome young man in a blue robe stood inside. He smiled faintly and said, "Brother Zhang, you're right. Even if you're an ordinary person who relies on the Trove of Treasures Pavilion, you can't change the fact that you're from the Fan State." The master ranked 9th on the Supreme Youth list, Shang Yun of the Shang family of the spiritual state. I've heard that Wang Kai severely injured the direct descendant of the Shang family, Shang Yun Tian, in the Elysium ancient city. If it weren't for Master Ji Chun of the Elysium Temple, Shang Yun Tian wouldn't have survived. Hee, it seems that some people aren't here just to save Miao Yin, the Shang family of the spiritual state. Wang Kai's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard this. Glancing at them indifferently, he sneered coldly in his heart. If I can't deal with you bunch of rotten shrimps, how can this young master brag in the future? Immediately, Wang Kai abruptly supported Miao Yin, who was gritting her teeth and had a livid expression, up, and then he raised her chin with one hand and actually lowered his head slightly to kiss her red lips under the wide, open gazes of everyone present. Seeing this, Miao Yin's beautiful eyes suddenly widened. She watched Wang Kai approach her little by little. She wanted to struggle, but she couldn't move at all. Her head was pressed by Wang Kai's warm palm. When that clear touch entered Miao Yin's heart, her heart suddenly pounded nonstop, and her pretty face was so red that it looked like it was dripping blood. An inexplicable, strange feeling lingered around her, as if she was possessed. However, at this moment, she could only close her eyes tightly and let Wang Kai take advantage of her. Only her eyelashes kept trembling, proving that her heart was in a mess at this moment. Patter, patter. Immediately, a series of sounds of doors and windows opening could be heard. Many of the experts inside looked over in astonishment. TSK. After Wang Kai kissed her gently, he quickly raised his head and scanned the surroundings with a playful expression. He smiled faintly and said, "Do you know how fragrant and soft the lips of this little girl Miao Yin are? TSK. It's really memorable." Swish! These words immediately caused many experts to glare furiously at him. There were even quite a number of experts who gritted their teeth so hard that cracking sounds could be heard. The veins on their foreheads bulged. However, there was also a rich jealousy within their flickering, ferocious eyes. "Haorun, quickly report to me all the forces that have arrived." Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and sent a voice transmission with a rather calm expression. Below the auction stage, Haorun was already dumbfounded. When he heard the voice transmission, he quickly scanned the surroundings and replied, "Your Highness, the 4 big families of the Wu state, The Zhang family, the Lin family, the Lu family, and the Zhou family are all here. Of the two forces of the spirit state, only the Shang family of the seal state is here. Of the two pure lands of the Buddha state, only the joyful Buddha temple is here. Of the forces of the demon state, only the blood drop cave and the myriad demons valley are here. Oh my God, it's the son of Emperor Ming Yi. No experts from the demon state are here. Of the Sun Moon Island, only the Bai family of the weapon region is here. There are also independent cultivators from the Wu state, the disciple of Sword Saint Ching Feng, and the independent cultivators from the spirit state. Hearing how Ren's rapid voice transmission, Wang Kai's eyebrows gradually relaxed, and his expression became more and more playful. Most of the people who had come had old grudges with him. Among them, Sword Saint Ching Feng sounded very familiar. Everyone, please rest assured. As long as we successfully bid for Sweet Sound, I will invite you to join the Endless Treasures Pavilion. As long as you are in the Endless Treasures Pavilion, no one will be able to harm your life. Moreover, I will also provide a room for you in Sweet Sound. I don't need to say more, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and smiled. As soon as these words came out, the experts sitting on the first floor and even higher levels were greatly tempted. Most of them were from small forces, small families, and even independent cultivators with no background. It was precisely because they were afraid of the joyful Buddha temple that these experts were willing but not daring. Now that Wang Kai had proposed such a condition, it naturally caused everyone to be greatly tempted. That, if no one bids, Sweet Sound will belong to me. I am willing to join the Endless Treasures Pavilion and become a subordinate of the Imperial Prince. The burly man who was the first to bid shouted with a face full of eagerness. How dare you? I am willing to pay 1,000 8th grade spirit stones. It's only 1,000. I will pay 5,000. Humph! I will pay 10,000 8th grade spirit stones. I will. In an instant, many cultivators began to bid. In less than 100 breaths, the lowest price had risen to 130,000 8th grade spirit stones, and it was still fiercely bidding. Wang Kai's heart couldn't help but jump violently when he saw this. Originally, he had instigated these small forces to raise the price so that the powerful forces could intervene. However, he really didn't expect that these small forces would be so rich. How Run, 8th grade spirit stones, are they trash? Wang Kai frowned and asked rather speechlessly. How Run was very shrewd, and he naturally understood immediately. He immediately replied respectfully. Replying to the Imperial Prince, 8th grade spirit stones are indeed extremely precious. Although the forces that can enter the Endless Treasures Pavilion to auction are nothing in the eyes of the forces on the 5th floor, they are extremely well known in the various provinces and territories. There are many sages in these forces, and the worst of them can obtain hundreds of thousands of 8th grade spirit stones in a year. I see. Hearing this, Wang Kai suddenly understood. There were many cultivators from various provinces who came to the Endless Treasures Pavilion, but there were very few who could enter the auction. Most of the experts have been blocked outside the door, and the forces and experts here were definitely the most powerful in the 6 provinces in one island. So, the forces on the 5th floor and above have a frightening amount of 8th grade spirit stones, right? Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and asked with a playful smile. What the Imperial Prince said is right, but the forces on the 5th floor are not the masters of their forces, so the amount of 8th grade spirit stones they can use must be limited. According to my preliminary estimation, they should be able to use at most 100 million 8th grade spirit stones. And it is only limited to those forces who have Sage King experts following them. Hao Ren said with a smile. 100 million. Wang Kai took a deep breath, and his expression suddenly became extremely interesting. With so many spirit stones, wouldn't he be able to show off to the extreme in the future? However, at this moment, the bidding of many experts and forces gradually came to an end. From the 1st floor to the 4th floor, the price had reached 10 million 8th grade spirit stones. The disciple of Sword Saint Ching Feng, a rogue cultivator from the Martial Province, offers 10 million 8th grade spirit stones. Is there anyone who wants to increase the price? If not, Bin Xiao will betroth Miao Yin to him. Wang Kai narrowed his eyes and said with a smile. Wang Kai didn't know how powerful Sword Saint Qingfeng was, but if he could sit on the 4th floor, he must not be weak. Maybe he couldn't reach the 5th floor because he didn't have any forces behind him. After all, he was just a rogue cultivator. Chapter 187. The Disciple of the Sword Saint of Breeze, Mo Qiubei. He is ranked 7th on the Sovereign Youth Ranking Board. Sigh. Although the Sword Saint of Breeze is a rogue cultivator, his cultivation realm is not weaker than the masters of the major forces. Although his spiritual stones and foundation are not as good as those of the major forces, they are not something that we can compare with. Mo Qiubei is really powerful. It is rumored that his future achievements in sword principle will not lose to his master, the Sword Saint of Breeze. He is the only rogue cultivator who is ranked in the top 10 of the Sovereign Youth Ranking Board. The experts from the 1st to the 3rd level shook their heads and sighed. They had thought that there might be someone on the 4th level who could stand shoulder to shoulder with the Sword Saint of Breeze. However, from the looks of it, the person who had come had no intention of provoking Mo Qiubei. Only the top forces on the 5th floor and above could suppress Mo Qiubei. For a moment, the Endless Treasures Pavilion fell into silence. The window of a private room on the 4th floor was slowly pushed open, revealing a rather handsome young man. He wore a black robe and carried a long sword on his back. He looked at the 5th floor with an indifferent expression and said indifferently, "I hope that everyone will not become enemies with Qiubei." How arrogant! He actually dared to challenge and threaten the 5th floor's forces. Everyone looked at him in amazement. Those who were ranked in the top 10 of the Sovereign Youth Ranking Board were naturally not weak. The experts of the older generation were afraid of the Sword Saint of Breeze's power and could not do anything to him. Only those from a younger generation could fight with him. However, Mo Qiubei was ranked 7th on the Sovereign Youth Ranking Board. There were very few people who could be on par with him in the 5th floor and above. Mo Qiubei, instead of practicing swordsmanship with the Sword Saint of Breeze at the Star Luo Sea, you came here to participate in young Nun Miao Yin's auction. Do you think that your swordsmanship has reached the pinnacle and can defeat the disciple of the blissful Buddha Temple's Master Jichen? Shang Yunyi sneered. As a member of the younger generation, he naturally could not stand being threatened by Mo Qiubei. Mo Qiubei did not even look at Shang Yunyi. He sat in front of the window and said indifferently, "You are merely the 9th Sovereign Youth. You are not qualified to talk to me." "You." Shang Yunyi's eyes turned vicious. Just as he was about to flare up, an old man behind him pressed down on his shoulder. Immediately, he could only let out a sinister chuckle as he flipped his hand and tightly shut the window. "Brother Qiubei, isn't it a bit too much to be so arrogant? No matter what, Brother Shang is one of the top 10 Supremes on the Young Supremes ranking list like us. We'll definitely keep in touch with each other in the future." Zhang Ruoxuan pushed open the window and reprimanded in a cold voice with a similarly displeased expression. However, he was interrupted by Mo Qiubei before he could finish speaking. "Zhang Ruoxuan, although your ranking is 1 rank higher than this Sword Emperor, our realms are not much different. If we fight, this Sword Emperor is confident that I can kill you with my sword. In this Miaoyin auction, Miaoyin will definitely belong to this Sword Emperor. If you still want to pester me, you can fight it out outside Jubao City." Mo Qiubei said coldly. Arrogant. Zhang Ruoxuan was so angry that his face turned ashen. He had never thought that Mo Qiubei, who was 1 rank higher than him, would dare to be his enemy. "Humph, Mo Qiubei, you have already made an appointment with the disciple of Jichen from the Blissful Buddha Temple. Now, do you still want to take Miaoyin for yourself and provoke the joyful Buddha Temple?" Zhang Ruoxuan squinted his eyes and sneered. "Umitba, Benefactor Mo, I hope you will think twice before you act." "Good indeed. On the 5th floor, Monk Ji Jing finally spoke. He put his palms together and looked at Imo Chiobei with a calm expression. Master Ji Jing, you worry too much. This time, I bid for Master Miaoyin to form a good relationship with the joyful Buddha temple. After this, I will definitely rescue Master Miaoyin and return her to the joyful Buddha temple. Imo Chiobei laughed softly. As soon as he said that, the corners of everyone's mouth twitched. After all this time, it turned out that he did not want to take Miaoyin for himself. He just wanted to form a relationship with the joyful Buddha temple. However, when they thought about it, the blissful Buddha temple was one of the 2 pure lands in the Buddha state. They must be very powerful. No matter how powerful the sword saint of Qingfeng was, he would not be able to defeat a pure land. If he could tie the joyful Buddha temple to his side, it would be difficult to predict the outcome. Wang Kai, since no one is increasing the price, why are you still not finalizing the auction? This sword emperor will take into account that you came from the poor Fan province and have a humble background. Therefore, I will give you another 10 million spirit stones above the 10 million 8th grade spirit stones. So, you don't have to think about earning more. Finalize the auction quickly. I have limited time. Imo Chiobei said lightly. Damn it. When Wang Kai heard that, he raised his eyebrows and thought to himself, it's okay for you to act tough in front of others, but how dare you ride on my head? He squinted his eyes and said with a cold smile, do you know the relationship between the disciple of Ji Chun from the blissful Buddha temple and Ben Shao? It doesn't matter what relationship they have. No matter how capable you are as the Emperor of the Trove of Treasures Pavilion, you are from the humble Fan state. Even if you are the Emperor of the Trove of Treasures Pavilion, you are just an ordinary person. If you're acquainted with Ji Chin's disciple, you can fight with me. I don't mind killing all of you with my sword. Imo Chiobei snorted disdainfully. Clap, clap, clap. Wang Kai clapped his hands and looked at Imo Chiobei with admiration. He could not help but give him a thumbs up. He squinted his eyes and said with a smile, Good job, Imo Chiobei. You are really good at acting tough. I only hope that before you die, you can still act tough in front of Ben Shao. Imo Chiobei, have you asked me, Lin Yaoyue, before you act so presumptuously in front of Brother Wang Kai? Swoosh. Suddenly, on the 5th floor, Lin Yaoyue leaned lazily against the window and stared coldly at Imo Chiobei. 5th place on the Supreme Youth list. When Imo Chiobei saw that, he frowned slightly. He did not care about the 6th to 10th places, but those who could rank in the top 5 must be at the peak of the 9th grade half-martial emperor realm. The 6th to 10th places were at the peak of the 6th grade to the 8th grade. No matter how good their swordsmanship was, it could not make up for the difference in their grades. Lin Yaoyue, as one of the 4 great families of the Wu state, you don't have to make an enemy out of me for Wang Kai, an ordinary person from the Fan state, right? Imo Chiobei said coldly. Lin Yaoyue was about to speak again when Wang Kai waved his hand and interrupted her. Although I don't know who Miss Lin is, I can give you a chance to pursue Ben Shao since you admire Ben Shao so much. For the time being, you can call her sister. Wang Kai shrugged and said with a playful smile, Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. This bastard, he even dares to take advantage of sister time and time again. If you don't come and beg sister, sister will see how you deal with Imo Chiobei and Zhang Ruoxuan later. Lin Yaoyue secretly gritted her teeth and cursed. She did not know that from the beginning, Wang Kai did not put the younger generation in his eyes. Chapter 188. Since the Zhang family is willing to pay such a high price, the Zhou family will naturally not be willing to be outdone. 80 million 8th grade spiritual stones. Patter. Another window opened on the 5th floor, and a young man with thick eyebrows and big ears appeared. He wore black leather armor, and his arms were bare. His iron-like muscles bulged, and his valiant figure and fierce eyes were extremely intimidating. 4th place on the youth sovereign ranking, Zhou family, Zhou Han. Wang Kai squinted his eyes. Currently, Three of the four great families of the Marshall Province had appeared. Only the Liu family was unknown. Liu Yao probably wouldn't attend such an event. As for the other forces, only the blood-dripping cave and the myriad demon valley had yet to appear. As for those rogue cultivators, Wang Kai didn't pay much attention to them. Just like the disciple of the Sword Saint of Breeze, Mo Qiubei, the number of spiritual stones he could use was extremely limited. Even if he bid, he wouldn't be able to compete with the other forces and families. Bin Xiao met a demonic cultivator called the Demonic Blood Emperor by chance. He claimed to be the master of the blood-dripping cave. TSK. Bin Xiao really can't figure out how a weak demonic cultivator like him could become the master of the blood-dripping cave. If Bin Xiao was a demonic cultivator, wouldn't he be able to become the ruler of the demon province? Wang Kai said with a mocking smile. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You have received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points. Congratulations to the host for successfully breaking through to the 6th grade Great Sovereign Realm. Patter. Suddenly, the two windows on the 5th floor opened. One of them was a middle-aged man wearing a blood-red robe. His eyebrows, mustache, and even his hair were blood-red. However, his skin was frighteningly white, just like the dark night of the underworld province. On the other side, a young woman in a black dress appeared. She looked to be around 15 or 16 years old. She had long black hair and black pupils. Her skin was snow white, and her figure was petite and cute. Her pretty face was also a beauty in the making. What was even more eye-catching was that there was a black lotus between her brows that flickered with a weak black light, and it made her seem even more bewitching. The Blood Demon Emperor is just the last cave master of the 72 dripping blood caves. I'm here today to see who has the guts to kill someone from the dripping blood caves. The red-robed middle-aged man coldly snorted as he stared at Wang Kai. He did not say that he was the killer, but his murderous intent was extremely obvious. Wang Kai, even if you're the imperial disciple of the treasure-gathering pavilion, you still have to be careful when you speak. Otherwise, this princess will surely throw you into a den of devils and allow you to be gnawed to death by a myriad of devils. The black-clothed young woman grunted in a delicate voice, and she glared her large eyes that were filled with a threatening expression. Wang Kai raised his eyebrows when he heard this. He shook his head with a rather playful smile and said indifferently, "Blood-dripping holes are just blood-dripping holes. Why did you make 72? Could it be that all of you are transformed from demonic rats, and even after becoming a demonic cultivator, you still can't change your instinct to dig holes? And you little girl, you don't even have a chest or a butt. How dare you call yourself a princess? If you were a princess, then Bin Xiao would definitely be your father. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience points and 10 bragging points." Whoosh! As soon as these words were spoken, the entire place was so silent that one could hear a pin drop. Even the cave master of the Dripping Blood Cave was dumbfounded on the spot. Do you know who this princess' father is? How dare you?" The black-clothed young woman gritted her teeth and shouted. She raised her small arm and pointed at Wang Kai. Her fierce yet extremely cute appearance made one feel that she was not a threat at all. Wang Kai laughed disdainfully when he heard this. He turned his head and looked at her rather indifferently. Just as he was about to speak, his expression suddenly froze. The black-clothed young woman's pretty face was also stunned. She blinked her beautiful big eyes and opened her small mouth slightly in disbelief. Controller of the mysterious flame. She was even stronger than Ming Yi just now. The little princess of the demon state, controller of the demonic heart flame. Then wouldn't her father be the ruler of the demon state? Hiss! Wang Kai immediately took a deep breath. However, his expression did not change at all. He shrugged his shoulders and pretended to be indifferent as he smiled and said, "Little girl, if you feel unconvinced, you can use spirit stones to bid. A dignified princess of the demon race wouldn't be defeated by a mere Zhang family from the Wu state, right? I didn't bring that many spirit stones. The black-clothed young woman's pretty face was immediately filled with grievances. She lowered her head in embarrassment. Her small hands held the corner of her clothes as her delicate body swayed. Her heart was already in a state of panic. Such a scene immediately caused Wang Kai's expression to be extremely astonished. He never thought that the dignified little princess of the demon race, one of the controllers of the mysterious flame, would actually not have spirit stones. Cough, cough, what are you showing off for if you don't have spirit stones? Go back and sit down obediently. Ben Xiao may be kind enough to reward you later. It's not that Ben Xiao wants to boast, but if I can buy 6 states and 1 island with spirit stones, with Ben Xiao's financial resources, I only need to use 1/10 of it. Wang Kai's expression was rather proud as he smiled and said, "Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points." The black-clothed young woman's beautiful eyes blinked when she heard this. A sly look flashed in her eyes as she grinned and said, "Okay, this princess will wait for you." In this way, the various forces that had come had a clear idea of what was going on, and it would be difficult for them to get anything they wanted. Thinking of this, Wang Kai's gaze slightly swept in the direction of the Liu family. He immediately shook his head and sighed. I wonder how Ben Xiao's fiancée Liu Yao is doing now? Is the Liu family in the Wu state doing well? With such a handsome man like Ben Xiao, she must miss him every day, right? What a sin. Congratulations to the host for successfully bragging. You've received 10,000 experience and 10 bragging points. Pada. Sure enough, the window of the Liu family opened immediately, and the face that appeared was Liu Yao. She was still wearing a white dress. Her face was cold, and her temperament was otherworldly. Her eyes, which seemed to contain no trace of smoke and fire, were looking indifferently at Wang Kai. Beside her sat Liu Changshan, whose face was full of inexplicable smiles. The door and window were also opened by him. Seeing this, Wang Kai's face stiffened. He was about to force a smile and go forward to greet them, but unexpectedly, Zhang Ruoxuan of the Zhang family suddenly spoke. "How dare you? Your marriage with Miss Liu was only arranged in the fan state. It was not approved by the Liu family. Now, as the princess of the Liu family, Miss Liu is about to be engaged to me. If you dare to talk nonsense again, I will kill you even if I have to provoke the trove of Treasure's Pavilion," Zhang Ruoxuan said coldly. As soon as these words came out, everyone was shocked. No one would have thought that Wang Kai, the prince of the trove of Treasure's Pavilion, was engaged to the princess of the Liu family, one of the 4 great families in the Wu state. Moreover, now that Zhang Ruoxuan had interfered, Zhang Ruoxuan, it seems that you are really tired of living. But don't worry, after we leave the trove of Treasure's Pavilion, I will make sure that your blood will splatter everywhere. As for now, you can just sit there and watch me and my Yao love each other," Wang Kai said with a faint smile. Swoosh! Under everyone's incredulous gazes, Wang Kai actually got up and flew into the private room where Liu Yao was. Then, he came directly to Liu Yao's side and stretched out his arms to hug her. "Your cultivation level." Liu Yao frowned, and her eyes were filled with surprise. She wanted to struggle and escape, but she found that she could not do anything to Wang Kai. She could not imagine that the current Wang Kai had become so powerful. Even Zhang Ruoxuan would not be able to withstand one move from him, right? Liu Chengshun was even more stunned. He did not believe that Liu Yao did not try to resist. But even so, Wang Kai still succeeded. This could only prove that Wang Kai's strength was above Liu Yao's. When Wang Kai stepped into the border of the fan state, he wanted to persuade him to return to the fan state. But now, Wang Kai's strength was undoubtedly a silent slap to his face. Let me give you a recommendation vote. I hope that you will not spam the comments. Thank you. Chapter 189. Wang Kai, you're courting death. Whoosh! Zhang Ruoxuan's eyes turned cold, and he was about to jump out of the window with a livid face. However, As soon as he moved, his shoulder was pressed down by an elder behind him. He could only stare at Wang Kai with bloodshot eyes filled with murderous intent. Violence is not allowed in the treasure trove pavilion. Although the Zhang family is powerful, we can't afford to offend the Empress of Fan Province, the elder said indifferently. Zhang Ruoxuan gnashed his teeth in anger when he heard this. He glared at Lu Yao, who was in Wang Kai's embrace, and said coldly, "Could it be that we are just going to watch without doing anything? Aren't we going to make the Zhang family a laughingstock? That damned Lu Yao. She didn't even try to resist. She really deserves to die. They must all die." The elder glanced at him indifferently and did not say anything. Instead, he looked indifferently at Lu Chengshun and said, "The Zhang family and the Lu family have been allies for thousands of years. Nephew Chengshun, you should think twice before you act." Whoosh! As soon as these words came out, Lu Chengshun's expression changed slightly. There was anger in his eyes, but in the end, he could only sigh and look helplessly at Wang Kai. Everyone present had strange expressions on their faces. Naturally, they thought the same as Zhang Ruoxuan. After all, Wang Kai's strength was only at the quasi-emperor level. After Jing Xian left the Supreme Leaderboard, his ranking on the Supreme Steel had risen to the 11th place. However, a talent was still a talent and could never be compared to a youth Supreme. Since that was the case, it proved that Lu Yao was willing to be in Wang Kai's arms. "Haha, brother Wang Kai, you did well. I have high hopes for you. Hurry up and take the princess of the Lu family home." Lin Yaoyue squinted her eyes and laughed coquettishly. She looked in the direction of the Zhang family with disdain. Clatter. The windows of the Zhou clan were also opened. Zhou Han's valiant face was currently filled with ridicule as he coldly snorted. Such a scandal in the Lu clan is indeed karma. Mortal Wang Kai, you can do whatever you want with Lu Yao. Leave the Zhang family to my Zhou family. If the Lu family is unwilling, I'm sure Lin Yaoyue will stop us. The Zhou clan and the Lin clan have been allies for generations, while the Zhang clan and the Lu clan have been allies for generations. However, 20 years ago, the young lady of the Zhou clan married a direct descendant of the Lu clan, while the young lady of the Lin clan married a nobody. That's right. I heard that the Zhou clan's young miss is still imprisoned in the Zhou clan's prison. As the emperor of the Zhou clan's younger generation, Zhou Han has always felt this to be a disgrace and is eager to exterminate the Lu clan. On the other hand, the Lin family is a bit better. At least Lin Yaoyue's father, the current head of the Lin family, secretly released his younger sister who married a mortal. As for whether she's dead or not, that's unknown. TSK, I heard that the unknown mortal and the direct descendant of the Lu clan were best friends. However, their fates were completely different. Whoosh! Everyone whispered to each other, causing the Zhou clan, Lin clan, and even the Lu clan to glare at them until they shut their mouths. However, the ridicule in their eyes did not diminish at all. However, in Wang Kai's ears, the meaning of these words had changed. Although he did not know who the young lady of the Lin clan and the mortal were, the spearhead of the Zhou and Lin clan was now pointing at Lu Yao. This also meant that the direct descendant of the Lu clan who secretly married the young lady of the Zhou clan. Could it be Lu Chengshun? And Lu Yao was her child? For some reason, Wang Kai suddenly felt extremely annoyed as he thought about it. Anger even rose in his heart. He looked at Zhou Han with an unpleasant expression and sneered. "Zhou Han of the Zhou clan, you can't speak carelessly. Lu Yao is Ben Xiao's fiancé. You can't afford to be sarcastic. If you continue to pester endlessly, your name will be recorded in Ben Xiao's life and death register later." Whoosh! As soon as these words came out, everyone was stunned. Even Lu Yao, who was in Wang Kai's arms, no longer had the intention to struggle. Instead, she stared at Wang Kai with reddened eyes. After waiting for so long, he finally had the ability to stand up and contend with the aristocratic families of the Wu province. "Wang Kai, the ordinary man they were talking about was your father. Your father and I were best friends since childhood. We went out to train together in Fan province and met your mother, the young lady of the Lin clan and the young lady of the Zhou clan. At that time, I didn't know that the blood of the Liu clan flowed in my body, which caused a disaster. Now that Yao wants to save her mother, she must face the Lin clan, the Zhou clan, the Zhang clan, and the Liu clan at the same time. I can't do anything about it. How good would it be if you were the holy son of the Trove of Treasure's Pavilion, or the only emperor's son? Unfortunately, you're only one of the 4 emperors of the Trove of Treasure's Pavilion. Lu Qingxin's secret voice ending was full of helplessness and guilt. Hearing that, Wang Kai furrowed his eyebrows tightly and was slightly stunned. In his memory, he had never heard of his parents. The old man had never mentioned it either. But now, didn't that mean that his father secretly married the young lady of the Lin clan, and now his whereabouts were unknown? And that Lin Yaoyue of the Lin clan had helped him many times because of his mother? Although everything was clear now, Wang Kai still felt extremely sick in his heart. Where are my father and mother right now? Wang Kai frowned and asked via voice transmission. Lu Chengshun shook his head and transmitted his voice. The head of the Lin family, Lin Yaoyue's father and your mother's elder brother, secretly set your father and mother free. As for where they went, perhaps only your uncle knows. Uncle? Wang Kai raised his eyebrows. Although the head of the Lin clan did a good job, Wang Kai disdained such a method of making people flee for their lives. The Lin clan and the Zhou clan are allies. Now Yao, Er's mother, the young lady of the Zhou clan, is imprisoned in the celestial prison by the Zhou clan. If you want to rescue her, you will have to provoke the Zhou clan. As an ally, the Lin clan will not sit by and do nothing. Similarly, the Liu clan and the Zhou clan are enemies and will not agree with Yao Er's actions. The Zhang clan and the Liu clan are allies, and now they're going to marry Yao as long as Yao Er starts to rescue her mother. Then, it means that she will have to face the 4 great clans at the same time. Wang Kai furrowed his brows as he thought to himself. When he looked at Liu Yao again, he suddenly felt that this woman was really too patient. She had taken on such a heavy responsibility on herself. Zhou Han of the Zhou clan bid 80 million spiritual stones of 8th level. Zhou Han of the Zhou clan, you can take out the spiritual stones now. Wang Kai suddenly said calmly. He narrowed his eyes and looked at the experts around him. Murderous intent rose in his heart. It was time to kill them all here. Chapter 190. Wang Kai. This Sword Emperor has only brought 50 million spirit stones with me. Later on, this Sword Emperor will give you 90 million spirit stones of the 8th stage. Promise Miao Yin to this Sword Emperor first. When this Sword Emperor returns to the star Luo Sea, I will return the rest of the spirit stones and help you resist Zhang Ruo Xian and Shang Yani. Do you hear me clearly? Suddenly, a voice transmission sounded in Wang Kai's ears, causing him to raise his brows. He looked towards the 4th floor with a playful expression. The person who was standing at the window was the disciple of the Sword Saint of Cool Breeze, Imo Chiobei. Okay, you can make a bid. Wang Kai squinted his eyes and said with a smile. Hearing this, Imo Chiobei's expression immediately became extremely arrogant. He secretly thought that even though Wang Kai was the emperor of the Endless Treasures Pavilion, in the end he was still just a commoner from the Fan province. Immediately, he stood up with an extremely arrogant expression and laughed. Commoner Wang Kai, this Sword Emperor has yet to make a bid. How can I let brother Zhou Han win? I'll offer 90 million spiritual stones of level 8. Whoosh! As soon as Mo Chiobei's words were spoken, a strange expression appeared on everyone's faces. Although most of the experts weren't as powerful as the Sword Saint of Breeze, they still knew his background. With Mo Chiobei's status, taking out 50 million 8th grade spiritual stones was already his limit. So, why did he dare to call out 90 million 8th grade spiritual stones? At the same time, Zhou Han, who was on the 5th floor, secretly heaved a sigh of relief. His original intention was to suppress the Zhang clan's Zhang Ruoxuan. Although he could take out 80 million 8th grade spirit stones, he was really unwilling to waste it like this. Ba. Benefactor Mo is worthy of being the disciple of the Sword Saint of Breeze. You're so generous for Miaoyin. I thank Benefactor Mo on behalf of the joyful Buddha temple. Monk Xi Jing stood up and put his palms together. Mo Qiubei became more arrogant when he heard that. He pretended to be calm and said, Master Xi Jing, you're overpraising me. Master Miao Yin is famous in every province. She's benevolent and kind. The joyful Buddha temple is one of the 2 pure lands in the Buddha province. Everything it does is for the salvation of all living beings. I've admired Buddhist cultivators since I was young. Was the joyful Buddha temple trying to save all living beings from suffering? The corners of everyone's mouths twitched when they heard this. Although they didn't know what Mo Qiubei was planning, his words were somewhat unbelievable. Who in the world didn't know that the merry Buddha temple cultivated the path of desire? Where did the salvation of all living beings come from? Even if there were, it would be mostly lust, right? Wang Kai, hurry up. This Sword Emperor's auction is a success. Later, find a secret room for this Sword Emperor. This Sword Emperor wants to dual cultivate with Miao Yin and use her to achieve a breakthrough in my realm. At that time, even the 4th-ranked Zhou will not be a match for this Sword Emperor. You can rest assured that this Sword Emperor will not treat you unfairly. Mo Qiubei's tone was extremely urgent as he transmitted an order. However, his face was full of arrogance. He looked at Wang Kai calmly and said, Mortal Wang Kai, since I've bid 90 million spiritual stones of the 8th realm and no one else is going to bid, why don't you end this auction quickly? Swish, swish. Finally, under everyone's gaze, Wang Kai stood up calmly and leaned against the window. He looked at Mo Qiubei mockingly and said with a playful smile, No problem, give me the 90 million spiritual stones. Hearing this, everyone was stunned and looked at Mo Qiubei curiously. They wanted to know if he had the ability to take out 90 million spiritual stones of the 8th realm. After all, this was more than the 50 million spiritual stones that they had estimated. Bastard, do you think that I am short of spiritual stones? Hurry up and finalize it. I will naturally give you the spiritual stones later. Mo Qiubei scolded coldly. Secretly, he transmitted his voice again. Wang Kai, you have to think clearly. If you embarrass me, even if Zhang Ruoxuan and the others don't dare to kill you, I will definitely kill you with my sword. Even if you are the Emperor of the Trove of Treasures Pavilion, you will not be spared. You can't change that lowly background of yours. If you don't have the spiritual stones, why are you acting tough in front of Ben Shao? You want Ben Shao to collude with you and give you Miao Yin first so that you can have a breakthrough with her? Are you an idiot? Did you bring your head with you? Who do you think Ben Shao is? You are a self-righteous pauper. Come on, kick this pretentious guy out of the Trove of Treasures Pavilion immediately. Wang Kai snorted with disdain. As soon as these words were spoken, it instantly caused the expressions of everyone to be astounded to the extreme. Never had they imagined that Mo Qiubei would actually send a voice transmission in secret to Wang Kai. But they came to an understanding after thinking about it. With Mo Qiubei's status, he was at most able to utilize 50 million grade 8 spirit stones. In this way, the questions of everyone were resolved. It is good, it is good. Monk Xi Jing put his hands together and sighed. He frowned slightly and glanced at Mo Qiubei indifferently. Then, he sat back down and did not say a word. Mo Qiubei was dumbfounded. He could not believe that Wang Kai, who had compromised because he was afraid of him, actually dared to criticize him like this. Could it be that he did it on purpose? Damn it. Swoosh. However, no matter how angry Mo Qiubei was, he could not change the outcome of losing face. After all, he had underestimated Wang Kai. Then, under the disdainful gazes of everyone, Mo Qiubei was asked to leave the Trove of Treasures Pavilion with a flushed face and gnashing teeth. Wang Kai, I will wait for you outside the Trove of Treasures Pavilion. As long as you don't come out, I will wait for a day. If you don't come out for a year, I will wait for a year. I will definitely kill you in this lifetime. When Mo Chobe walked to the door, he suddenly turned around and threatened in a cold voice. You don't have to wait so long. Bin Xiao will come out very soon. Quickly get the fuck out and wait. You idiot, you poor bastard that doesn't even know how to act cool. Wang Kai puckered his lips with an expression of extreme disdain, and he waved his hand and reprimanded without holding back. The veins on Mo Chiobei's forehead bulged when he heard this, and he gritted his teeth and said gloomily, Wang Kai, you're only a lowly. Bang. However, Mo Chiobei hadn't finished speaking when Hao Rin suddenly kicked him in the waist, and he was caught off guard and directly kicked out of the trove of Treasure's Pavilion. When Mo Chiobei turned around and intended to attack furiously, Hao Rin took a few steps back instead, and the two old men stood before him. Get the fuck out right now. You actually dared to be so disrespectful to the Emperor's son. If it wasn't for the Emperor's son saying that he would take your life later, that kick of yours would have taken your life long ago. Hao Rin grunted coldly with disdain. Bang! The two saints waved their hands and closed the door of the trove of Treasure's Pavilion, leaving only Mo Chiobei standing on the street with a livid expression. You're really good at acting cool. If this Emperor's son achieves great success in the future, then I'll surely not forget you. Hao Rin. Wang Kai sent a voice transmission and laughed loudly. Hao Rin was only an Emperor Realm expert, so it was already not bad that he was able to successfully launch a surprise attack against him. However, those words were extremely in line with his intentions. Hao Rin's eyes instantly narrowed when he heard the voice transmission, and then he rubbed his hands together and sent an extremely respectful voice transmission. Emperor's son, you're too kind. It's something I ought to do, something I ought to do. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.